Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium eSports coverage of the 11th round of Season 2 of Monday Night Racing, presented by Tufco Flooring, as we welcome you to the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race presented by SimSeats at the virtual iRacing Superspeedway in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. I am Taylor Burris, and joining me in the booth today is my colleague Ricky Springer and our producer Ryan Bowers, punching the buttons and twisting the cameras down in the virtual production studios powered by Top Flight PCs. Ricky, a lot of things are looking forward to here tonight, as we are at probably the fastest track in all of iRacing and probably of all of sim racing, the iRacing Superspeedway. Why don't you tell some of the viewers a little bit about what's in store for tonight?
Here. And, you know, you look at this track in Chelmsford, and what a great speedway it is. 3 miles the distance around this speedway, which is absolutely magnificent for a super speedway here in these cup cars. Going to be roaring somewhere around 230 miles an hour, Taylor. Isn't that something?
It certainly is, and it's going to be a lot of exciting as we zoom in on the earth in the middle of Chelmsford, Massachusetts, as we zoom in. And people are probably wondering, where in the world is this track? Well, this track originally opened on sim racing services back in 2002 and brought onto the iRacing service in 2020. So another wonderful addition to the iRacing service for drivers to come out here, have fun, and go at high speeds with no restrictions whatsoever. And for some of the drivers who compete in the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity, and Truck Series who are in tonight's race, they're probably looking forward to having no restriction plates, just flat out in these high banked and steep corners here, as well as the fast straightaways.
Exactly. This is going to be a great track for these drivers. Very interesting. You know, you think of the super speedway racing of today at like Daytona and Talladega, that some of these drivers even run in the real life circuits through NASCAR. So these drivers, it's a whole different animal to conquer here, especially with the different banking that you have. 36 degrees, I believe I looked. And, you know, a lot more banking at this track than what you would see at a place like Daytona, and a lot more speed here. So these drivers are going to have to be cautious, and we might not even see the pack racing that we're quite used to with a super speedway.
As we now pull up and take a look at the points right now, it is going to be Anthony Alfredo. Remember, last week we had come to a close for the regular season. So after tonight, we kick off our playoffs of 13 drivers. Currently, Anthony Alfredo is your points leader, followed by Nick DeGroot, the Season 1 champion, with Will Rogers, Nick Sanchez, Kyle Busch, Preston Pardis, and Matt Stallneck, your only drivers who collected a win this season. But Gary Sexton, Ford Martin, Ron Capps are so far the bubble drivers, while DJ Cummings, Gabe Wood, and Max Kennan are now the drivers who are at the cutoff before we move on to the round of 10 later on this month in February. And as we get closer and looking at this in timing and scoring right now, the field has already been set by points, so that will now put Anthony Alfredo up at the top of the pole position here for tonight's race. But looking through the field right now, Ryan Vargas is one of the faster drivers out there, utilizing the slipstream in order to get that needed speed and positioning to see what he can do, and possibly taking home $300 here tonight for tonight's All-Star race.
Yeah, the All-Star race for these drivers is just going to be a fun event. These guys are coming out here to have fun and ultimately race for $300. So a very interesting event here, but being part of that slipstream is going to be important, and we're going to talk about it all night, Taylor, is these drivers having to go through these stages here and try and have a partner to make their way through the field and ultimately try and work their way up to the front to put them in the position to win the race.
Indeed, and in fact, let's talk about the stage system that we have here tonight. It is, of course, a 60-lap stage. It's, of course, an extra few laps included in between the stage breaks. So it's going to be a 30-lap stage 1, followed by a 20-lap stage number 2, and then a 10-lap shootout for the final stage tonight with 3 green, white, checkered attempts. So we could go a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, but as we get ready to come to a close for practice and get underway, as you can see, the speeds these drivers are carrying as you look on screen. And look how steep the banking is as they enter turn 1.
Yeah, these cars are diving off of a cliff down into turn 1. And, I mean, these drivers are going to have a tough time. I mean, the car gets so unsettled as you enter off into the corners here. You can see a car just getting into a little bit of a shunt there at the end of practice. But these drivers really going to have to work on getting loose.
And with that, as we now get ready to go straight to give you your starting lineup here tonight, we're going to now give you the starting rundown. Anthony Alfredo will be your pole steerer, the NASCAR Cup Series rookie. Right beside him on the outside row is the 2019 Cup Series champion, Kyle Busch. He'll be starting on the outside row of number 1. Nick Sanchez will be starting in 3rd position, followed by Nick DeGroot, the Monday Night Racing Series 1 champion, in 4th position. 5th position will be Matt Stallneck, followed by NHRA champion Ron Capps in 6th. Starting in 7th position will be Ford Martin, followed by Gary Sexton of Podium eSports. DJ Cummings will be starting in the 9th position, followed by Gabe Woods, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and we're just going to go right outside the top 10 here to 11th. Max Keenan going to be starting on the inside of row 6 in the 11th position. 12th, it's going to be another driver there as it just falls off the screen. In the 7th row, starting in the 13th position, it's going to be Steven Ellis. And the outside of row 7, it's going to be Covey Moore in the 15 car. Inside of row 8, it's going to be Stephen Alphanet. Starting in the outside of row 8, Garrett Smithley, current Xfinity driver. Starting on the inside of row 9, it's going to be Ryan Vargas. Outside of row 9 is going to be Drew Walker. Starting on the inside of row 10 is going to be Joshua Slate. And finally, rounding outside the top 20 here is going to be Mark Velez.
Starting 21st will be Greg Stump, followed by Garrett Miller in 22nd. Jesse Vaughn will be starting in 23rd, followed by Brett Baldeck in the 24th position. Robbie Lyons going to be starting in the 25th position, followed by motocross champion Chad Reed in 26th. 27 will be Brandon Brown, followed by Devin Henry in 28th. 29th will be Michael Massey, rounding out your top 30. Runner-up last week at Homestead Miami Speedway, Rajah Caruth.
Yeah, and right after them in the 37, it's going to be Paul Sutton inside of row 16. Outside is going to be Dylan Welch. Starting in the inside of row 17 is going to be Kyle McFadden. Outside of row 17, TJ Majors. 18 is going to be Stephen Wilson, and Jason Keffer. It's going to be that 18th row.
Field now getting lined up 2 by 2 behind the iRacing pace car to continue on their way. Ricky, what are some of the things you're going to be looking forward here tonight?
A lot of close racing, but these drivers are going to have to be very careful getting close at such high speeds. You talk about in the real life circuits, the air getting these cars loose, and I think we could possibly see something similar to that. These drivers just getting a little bit too close and spooking each other and starting to drive away could cause some accidents here tonight.
It certainly is. Well, we're going to have to wait and see who will come out on top with $300 in the victor. As they wait, the pace car pulls in, and we have ourselves a green flag here at iRacing Superspeedway for the Monday Night Racing All-Star Race. Right now, as we see Anthony Alfredo dive to the outside lane, trying to get in front of Kyle Busch. He will hold that lane as they work their way to the high banks of turn number 1. Nick Sanchez will be down on the inside as you see Alfredo throwing the block in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, as you look a little further back in the 4th position, Nick DeGroot watches on as Kyle Busch is all by himself in that outside lane.
Now these drivers starting to spread out just a little bit already, a little different than what we would see at the super speedways, but still the same rules. No diving below that yellow line on the bottom of the track to pass. Drivers going to have to watch out for that, but 3 wide for the race lead as they work their way through turns 3 and 4.
Nick Sanchez will take over the race lead as he'll come off of turn number 4, but who will slingshot around to lead lap number 1? Down the front straightaway, they will go. Here comes Anthony Alfredo with a big push from Kyle Busch. He will lead lap number 1 here as they continue on their way. Down the front straightaway into turn 1, Kyle Busch and Gary Sexton working together to help get Anthony Alfredo. Busch gets a little bit loose through the corner. He'll have to back up, but has help from Gary Sexton, who dropped to the bottom of the racetrack.
Down the top side of the banking here, really coming into use for these drivers. Kyle Busch, among the very many up on the top side of the speedway that is using the top to try and get around this lower line of cars that is checking up a little bit as these drivers get such high speeds. The slipstream going to check out that lane even more throughout the race.
Currently, right now, Kyle Busch finally gets to the inside lane. He will slot in front of the 50 of Gabe Wood, who's right there. He has a little bit of help as well from Nick DeGroot, as here comes Nick Sanchez with help from Gary Sexton to the race lead as they come down the front straightaway heading into turn 1. Kyle Busch trying to see if he can make it work, but a little bit of a tap from Anthony Alfredo to Gary Sexton, moving him up the racetrack.
Yeah, and we're 3 wide for the 3rd position. Gary Sexton stuck in the middle there, gets out of it as working down the back straightaway after a great push, and the caution flag comes out right as we see Gary Sexton on the right side of your screen about to take an onboard ride with him. Obviously, a little pain in the wrist from how hard they're racing early on.
Ooh, we have ourselves a little bit of a situation in the middle of turns 1 and 2 between Raja Caruth and Chad Reed. Some contact happening between the two drivers as we get a look at the replay. Just looks like Raja just decided to send the tap on Chad Reed, sends him up the racetrack, collects several other drivers. Now, these drivers do have a faster pair if need be to use, as you watch on screen. And continue on their way. Chad Reed, of course, that race car in that number 22 torn up to pieces. He'll have to come down pit road if that fits.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of drivers are going to use those fast repairs, but that was just one of those situations. These drivers going so fast. We'll take a look at it back off of the back bumper of Reed here, see exactly what happened between him and Raja as they entered off into the corner.
As you look at the replay, there's that slight contact right there once again as he'll collect several other drivers involved in that incident. Paul Sutton, one of them. We continue on to see who will come down pit road if need be. As Chad Reed currently comes down pit road, a tore up race car looks like as well. Justin Malillo is coming down pit road. Devin Henry with some damage to his race car as well.
Yeah, and a lot of damage early on. Not going to be good for these drivers. It's just a high-speed track, but relatively up at the front, to my surprise, Taylor. These drivers have been trying to keep it fairly tame. We saw it 3 wide once or twice there, and only a few laps in, 4 to be exact. But these drivers keeping it a lot more tame than maybe I would have thought, with so much real estate to play with here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Also, a lot of drivers interesting trying to figure out the right line to use in order to continue on their way here and finding the right slipstream in order to slingshot past their competitors here tonight. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens. Who will be able to find the right slingshot in order to get by their competitors, especially when we get to that 10-lap shootout later tonight. Still under caution right as we now get ready to bring in a special guest here tonight, our in-race reporter, driver of the number 13 Abruzzi Raceway, Chevrolet, or Toyota actually. It's Gary Sexton. And Gary, you got a copy up here in the booth?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Well, Gary, how are conditions out there after those first couple of laps, as we saw you get into a little bit of a scuffle down there with Kyle Busch and a couple of other drivers?
Yeah, it's about what I expected it to be. It's pretty crazy. You know, it's a lot of fun, but it is actually pretty stressful. The runs here are just so big. It's hard to block anything. Like, it's tempting. You want to jump out of line and block, but it's pretty much impossible to block. So if they build a run up on you, you kind of just got to get out of the way and have the patience to know that you're probably going to get a run back when you get to the next straightaway. So, you know, just watch for that and watch for guys pushing up on entry that are on the bottom. It's really hard to turn the car on the bottom. Like when you're entering right into the corner from the bottom, the car wants to shoot straight up the track. So if you're not ready for it and there's a guy to your outside, I'd look for guys to kind of collide there too. That's probably where you'll see a lot of wrecks as well.
All right. Well, Gary, you know, you are the Chief Marketing Officer here at Podium eSports, someone who competes in sim racing for a long time. What is it like going up against some of the biggest names in motors throughout this entire Monday race?
Yeah, that whole experience is it's kind of unreal. You know, this time last year, just did not expect any of that to ever happen, to ever have the opportunities to do things like this on a weekly basis, nonetheless. And yeah, it's an incredible experience. You realize how good these guys actually are. You know, a lot of these real racers haven't even been on the sim that long, and they're able to run anywhere, any track, you know, and it shows that they do this for a living, and rightfully so.
Well, Gary, you got us on some interesting gloves. Why don't you tell a little about them right there?
Yeah, these gloves are from Abruzzi Racewear USA. Judd Danielson hooked me up with the sponsorship deal for the remaining races of the season. So, looking forward to carrying those guys on board. Abruzzi Racewear USA. Go check them out. Get yourself some gloves. They do boots. They do shoes, shirts, all sorts of stuff. So we're hoping to bring them to victory lane tonight and take home that $300, and I'll go spend it and buy some more stuff from Abruzzi.
Very good. Well, good luck out there tonight. We'll make sure to get you back up here before tonight's race is over with, as we are about to go back green flag racing. We'll give you a quick rundown of the top 10 right now. It is going to be Nick Sanchez, followed by Kyle Busch, Gary Sexton, Anthony Alfredo, followed by Nick DeGroot, Gabe Wood, Matt Stallneck, followed by Ron Capps, DJ Cummings, and Ford Martin, your top 10. Once we get back to green flag conditions, we have completed 6 laps of the first stage, 30 laps here in stage number 1. And as the pace car, of course, here at the iRacing Superspeedway, much longer it takes to get around here compared to some of the other Superspeedways that we're used to competing on, Ricky, when it comes to Talladega or Daytona, with this 3 miles.
Yeah, these drivers really just having to wait on the pace car to come down pit road, as well as to wait to take that green flag. Such a long run to the start-finish line as we get ready for that pace car to take the hard left turn onto pit road. We get ready to take the green flag for the second time here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Here comes Nick Sanchez with a little bit of a late restart right there. Kyle Busch almost missed the opportunity to get penalized, but he's now going to try and get around Nick Sanchez, the number 96, as they head down into turn number 1. Gary Sexton, Anthony Alfredo watches on. Meanwhile, we see a couple of drivers such as Nick DeGroot, Gabe Wood trying to see if they can get into the mix. They want a shot at $300 here tonight. Here comes Gabe Wood in the number 50 to the outside as they go 3 wide for third down the back straightaway. Almost now going to go 4 wide as they work their way into turns 3 and 4. Gary Sexton going up to the front of the field. He'll slide up in front of the sim seat forward of Anthony Alfredo for the race lead as they dive into turn 3.
Gary Sexton, after pushing the 96 to lead, is thinking about his turn as he's trying to make something fashion there up on the top side of the speedway. Can't quite make it work. Anthony Alfredo will drop to the bottom, but he has a little more help behind him. But that top 3 really locked together right now, and Kyle Busch giving some great pushes to Sanchez for the lead.
He certainly is, as they now see Kyle Busch go to the top side of the racetrack. He will try to get this lap around and see if he can lead around the iRacing Superspeedway. We watched a couple of months ago at the season opener opener at Talladega, Kyle Busch pull off an astounding finish from 24th to 1st in 2 laps, as he's going to see if he can actually lead this thing here for tonight's All-Star race. Here comes now Ryan Vargas. He's coming up in that number 6 Chevy Camaro as they work their way to turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, and that TikTok machine really getting to the back bumper of Kyle Busch, but not sure if you saw with the little ride-along on Anthony Alfredo's car. Got a little bit of contact with Kyle Busch there, bent up the left front fenders, were 3 wide for the lead, but Kyle Busch hard into the wall. Hard into the wall.
Caution out once again as we saw the incident between Vargas, Kyle Busch, and several others. Kind of really started when Anthony Alfredo went a little bit low down the bottom of the racetrack trying to get out of that. We get the replay to pull up momentarily as we see the rest of the carnage that happens. But here comes the replay, and there's the contact between Ryan Vargas and Kyle Busch. Just a bad bump gone wrong for these drivers, and collecting several more as the big one happens here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
And right down just across the start-finish line, they're setting up for turn 1. It just looks like you said there, Taylor, a bad push right there, and Kyle Busch goes head-on into the wall and just pretty much blocks the whole top side of the raceway. Most of these cars trying to scramble at such high speeds, and this is a great camera angle right here by Ryan Bauer up in the production trailer. You really get to see all these cars just trying to scramble. So many cars involved, Taylor, it's going to take us a while to count.
It's a matter of who did not get involved in that incident here tonight. So we're going to see who survived, who will come down pit road, and in order to get their cars repaired. They do have at least 1 fast repair. I believe also 2 might be in case for some drivers. We'll have to wait and see as they come to work their way down pit road. And continue on our way here. We are still in stage number 1 of our 3 stages event here of the Monday Night Racing All-Star Race. And of course, Monday Night Racing wants to give a big thank you to Big Green Egg. Is the world's largest producer and international distributor of the highest quality ceramic commando style charcoal grills. The Big Green Egg has spent over 40 years mastering the recipe for the best, most versatile, fuel efficient, and easy to use commando style grill across the globe. The Egg offers more cooking options than all other conventional cookers combined. With an Egg, there is simply no need for a separate grill, smoker, pizza oven, or other rotisserie device. The Egg does all of this and more to perfection. For more information, visit their website at biggreenegg.com. And with that, we are going to go take a quick break, but when we come back, we will bring you more green flag coverage of Monday Night Racing's 2021 All-Star Race, powered by SimSeed.
One weekend, any driver can go from nothing to something.
Daniel Everhart winning the Podium eSports Daytona 500.
And something to nothing.
Oh, Derek Justice gets turned in front of the field. Derek Justice gets
in an instant. Register now at podiumesports.com.
Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of Monday Night Racing's 2021 All-Star Race, powered by SimSeed, live from the iRacing Superspeedway. We're taking some of the biggest names in NASCAR and motorsports and sports media, and we're putting them on the biggest track on the iRacing service, the iRacing Superspeedway. 3 miles of intense racing where drivers will hit speeds of over 240 miles an hour as they work their way. We are in stage number 1, 11 laps completed of the 30. Right now is Nick Sanchez, Matt Stallknecht, Ford Martin, TJ Cummings, and Joshua Slate, your top 5, as we are still under caution after we had our first of probably our many big ones that will happen here in tonight's All-Star Race.
Absolutely, and when you take a look at this track, especially from a blimp view, and just take a look at the sheer size of it from above, this track is absolutely massive. As we get a great camera angle here, you can't even see both corners in the same shot how big this track is, and with a huge track comes a lot of speed. And these drivers make just a little bit of contact, and as we saw going off into turn 1 to bring out this caution, calamity ensued for multiple drivers.
It certainly did. It involved drivers Kyle Busch and TikToker and NASCAR Xfinity Series rookie Ryan Barkas, who are gotten to a little bit of a situation where it involved a bad bump down the front straightaway. Of course, these straightaways are not flat. They are actually banked a little bit, so that makes it even more interesting for these drivers, as they are pretty much on a banked surface all the way around this 3-mile oval. As they continue on their way, we should be going back to the green flag conditions here this time by, as the field is now getting lined up 2 by 2 as they go through the high banks of turn number 1 and 2 before they head down the long back straightaway here and continue on their way. But Ricky, overall, a lot of exciting racing happening here tonight. Even though we've had a couple of cautions, we still have seen a lot of great passes, even 4 wide down the back straightaway earlier on.
Yeah, and, you know, Monday Night Racing could not have picked a better track for their All-Star race. You think the All-Star race is all about going out and having some fun with a race, and it's for $300 tonight. So these drivers definitely having fun on this track, and it's a lot better than what you would consider a cookie cutter 1.5 mile track that some of these drivers are quite accustomed to. This throws a whole different ball into the pit. These drivers are going to have to deal with it all race long, 69 laps, and not even done with stage 1, and we've already had our first big one, Taylor.
Yes, indeed, and as we brought out earlier on in the pre-race, Stage 1 will end on lap number 30. So 30, 20, and then a 10-lap dash to the finish in order to see who will be the Monday Night Racing 2021 All-Star Champion, winning $300 here tonight. Pace car is about to get out of harm's way down pit road as it makes the hard left turn down there. Nick Sanchez, Matt Stolknecht will lead them as Nick Sanchez releases off the grid, continues on his way as he will lead as they come across the start-finish line. Green flag is out, and we are underway here once again.
Yeah, and what a great jump by Sanchez there, but that slipstream really going to come into effect as they work their way through turn 1. You could already see drivers starting to suck up to the rear end of that 96 car, and he might be too far gone with the runs that these drivers can get, Taylor.
As you see on board with Ford Martin, how much of a slipstream he was able to gain. He was a couple of car lengths back. He is now right on the back bumper of race leader Nick Sanchez as we keep an eye a little further back. 3 wide action going on between Rajat Carew, the 50 of Gabe Wood, and the 10 of DJ Cummings, as here comes Joshua Slate. A little bit of contact behind him.
Yeah, and these drivers really going through those bumps with force, and you can see the cars dancing all over the speedway. And look at how it just flattens out there, relatively speaking, going down the front straightaway here. A huge drop and banking down the straightaways. These drivers having to deal with that as now we ride along board with Garrett Smithley as he works his way down into turn 1 to see what these drivers are dealing with.
Garrett Smithley currently going 4 wide, now back to 3 wide, of course, here in that number 51 Chevrolet. Of course, he is going to be competing in the NASCAR Cup and Xfinity Series this year as he'll go 4 wide through the middle lane. He gets held up a little bit by the 41 of Matt Stolknecht. He'll dive to the inside. He's currently running in 22nd, trying to get his way back up through the field here tonight.
And some great driving by Garrett Smithley. I think we could possibly make a show just off the way he's slicing his way through the field right now as a car slower on the apron there, able to avoid him. And that's just how this track is going to go. But another caution out on the speedway on lap 15.
Caution is out, and it involves several drivers. Looks like Brandon Brown is one of them, the number 12, along with Gary Sexton in the number 13 again. As it looks like another situation where a bad bump's gone wrong. And actually, another driver involved, Matt Stolknecht in the 41. Also had an incident where these 2 drivers were behind him. As we get a look at the replay. Ooh. So, if we can get a replay actually on the 41 of Matt Stolknecht.
Yeah, just right up the track there, Taylor. Got it up on screen right now, and it seems like Gary Sexton just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ron Capps also got a little bit nicked by it, along with the 36 of Garrett Miller as you're on board with Matt Stolknecht. Look at the wild ride he had. I mean, I would hate to be in VR or even in a real race car in that situation.
Yeah, looking right up at the drivers going 200 plus at you is definitely not a fun deal. There was also another accident, Taylor. I caught it just briefly out of the corner of my eye going off into turn 1 after the caution came out. I'll have to catch up and just see how many drivers were involved in that as well. We'll take a ride on board some of these drivers involved. Gary Sexton among a few who we spoke with earlier, and just right up the track the 41 goes.
Yeah, tough break for our in-race reporter, Mr. Gary Sexton, in that number 13, a Bruzy Raceware USA Toyota Camry, as he continues on his way. Try to work his way up to the field, but there's the heavy contact with the number 12 of Brandon Brown on that sim seat Toyota, as you actually get a little bit airborne right there through that, so gets a little bit of airtime and continues on his way, but he may have a fast repair. We'll have to wait and see what happens when he comes down pit road in a few moments. And with that, we are going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we'll bring you more green flag action here live from the iRacing Superspeedway for Monday Night Racing's 2021 All-Star event, powered by SimSeat.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star event live from the iRacing Superspeedway. And Ricky, during the break, we were noticing that there was a second incident involving the 45 of Seth Eggert.
Yeah, and that was under caution going off into turn one. As we'll take a look at it here. These drivers all bunched up. The caution comes out somewhere around here. See a couple of slow cars, some drivers really trying to back their way up. Looks like the S3 car maybe goes up the speedway a little bit, and that's several cars involved just under the caution there. Maybe some miscommunication. Those drivers trying to get woed up for the yellow flag.
Tough break for some of those drivers. Hopefully they still have a fast repair ready to use in case that they are able to continue on their way here tonight. But it looks like we're still going to go one more lap here before we go green flag, as the field is now getting lined up, double filed. We are about to go back green flag racing once again here at the iRacing Superspeedway for the Monday Night Racing 2021 All-Star event. And of course, we have to thank our major partner here tonight, who is actually powering tonight's race, SimSeat. Since 2009, SimSeat has designed and fabricated high-quality driving simulators, including motion system, custom fabricated parts, and complete turnkey iRacing packages, all made in the USA. Their customer base includes all kinds of drivers from amateurs to professionals, and their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment. Don't limit your track time to the weekend. Visit sim-seats.com for more information. And as you see right there on your screen, the number 38 of Anthony Alfredo in that SimSeat Ford Mustang, as he will be kicking off his 2021 NASCAR Series run in the rookie class, as he will be driving for the 38 Front Row Motorsports Ford Mustang. And I gotta say, it's amazing to see the difference of drivers in this class. We have NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, and many more in here, even drivers who race on two wheels in tonight's race, Ricky.
Yeah, and drivers that just from all types of motorsports, Taylor, like you said. I mean, these drivers all collectively come together on Monday nights to get their racing in for the week, and this is the fix that these drivers love. You know, with COVID and everything going on, these drivers having a tough time doing it consistently, so it's nice to get on the iRacing service and do it just to have some fun.
Indeed, as Nick Sanchez gets another great jump on the field as they continue on their way here. Green flag is back out and we are underway as we are closing in on a little over 10 laps to go in stage number one. Nick Sanchez trying to block both lanes as they go through turn number one. He's going to get some help from Gabe Wood, who will go to the outside of the racetrack, make that outside groove work. He'll have help from Ford Martin, as well as a 10 of TJ Cummings, who makes a third lane down the back straightaway. Joshua Slade is helping Nick Sanchez as they're considering going four wide, as here comes Kyle Busch.
Yeah, already back in the mix after that accident as we ride on board with the number 51 Busch machine, as we're going to see what he can do working their way through turns 3 and 4. You see those cars just really load on the suspension as they enter in there. Kyle going to drop down to the bottom. That's going to hurt the top lane. And as you can see, Sanchez just trying to work the draft, trying not to give anybody a big slipstream on the back bumper of that 96 machine.
As you see on board with Kyle Busch, some of the great camera work powered by Dougie Beard, as our wonderful producer Ryan Bauer is helping us give you all the great angles here as they continue. Here comes another driver who knows a thing or two about Superspeedway racing. TJ Majors in the number 22 Dirty Mo Media Ford Mustang as they continue on their way down the back straightaway. He is going to get right behind the 26 of Jesse Vaughn.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers starting to work their way up into this main pack here. This is more of the pack racing that we're accustomed to seeing at Superspeedways. Of course, not as close, maybe a car length in between every driver with the huge ranking fall-offs. They don't want to quite make contact and be as close, but a lot of drivers wanting a piece of the action here up at the front to possibly take one of these laps. So we're coming almost inside of 10 laps to go here until the end of the stage, Taylor.
Yes, we are closing in to the end of stage number 1. Some of the drivers are now going up to that third top lane to try to get that one going in order to get around their competitors. As here comes the new driver, Joshua Slate. He's going to try to go for the race lead. Kyle Busch will go to the third lane with help from the 21 of Max Kennan as they go down the back straightaway, 3 wide for the race lead.
And these drivers really pushing each other down the straightaways. Kyle Busch had a bad push last time, which ended up with him in the wall, but gets a great one from the 21 machine that time. Ends up working his way, and a yellow is out on the speedway as these drivers work their way out of turns 3 and 4, coming to complete lap 20.
Indeed, it looks like that might have involved the 27 car that is currently right now driven by Michael Massey, who's currently now on pit road. He was the one who brought out this caution here, as he will go up and over end here as we see the replay down the back straight. Ooh, heavy contact between him and the 36 of Garrett Miller. Garrett Miller just did not look in his mirror whatsoever about what happened. He collected several other drivers such as the 86 of Devin Henry, and also as we see the 45 of Seth Eggert involved in that caution. A couple of more drivers are Mark Rabillas as well as Dylan Welch in the number 14. So a tough break for some of these drivers here as we are not even done with stage 1. And I gotta say, half this field looks pretty banged up.
Yeah, and these drivers, of course, have those 3 fast repairs. I guess a free ride to get your car completely fixed when they come down pit road, permitting they can make it there, Taylor. If you blow a motor, of course, you're going to have to tow back to the pits and possibly go a few laps down. So these drivers running out of fast repairs to use, and we're not even done with the first stage. But a change for the lead when that caution came out. Up at the front of the field now, the driver who brought out our previous caution, 2 cautions ago, Kyle Busch, back up at the front of the field.
And as we continue on the way, let's check in with our in-race reporter, Gary Sexton, in that number 13 of Bruzy Toyota Camry. Gary, you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
So, you've been all over the place here tonight with that another incident involved, as you had some incidents. How are you feeling out there? How's the car?
Yeah, I'm a lot less confident than I was the last time we talked. We're down 2 fast repairs already. We got caught in that big wreck when we were up front. And then a couple cautions ago, we were just cruising in the back, and whoever wrecked just drove straight up the track, straight into me and Brandon Brown, and wasted our car there. So we're down 2 fast repairs. We still have 1 left. Just going to try and ride here and take whatever momentum I can get to the front, but we're going to just ride, try to get to this stage break and not get eliminated. Now we're getting kind of close to that part of the field, so I didn't expect to be there. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. You know, the shorter these stages get, the crazier the racing's gonna get up front. So maybe somebody, 20th place will win the race on the last lap because they'll all crash. So you just stick around. I mean, it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be wild. $300 on the line. I can't wait.
It certainly is, and a lot of drivers are trying everything that they can in order to work their way up to the field. What is going to be your strategy for these final couple of laps before we get to stage 1?
Yeah, so definitely going to try and ride here. I'll take whatever runs I can get to move as farther forward as I can. But just gonna ride and try to make it to the end. I think that's the most important thing, especially only having 1 fast repair left. I really can't afford to use that until the last stage. So yeah, I'm just gonna ride, try to stay out of trouble, not get eliminated, and be there within the top 15 in the last stage. I think we'll still have a shot at this.
All right, well, Gary, we'll let you get back suited up, ready to go, and continue on their way. Good luck, and we'll see what happens later on in the stage.
Appreciate it.
That is Gary Sexton, our in-race reporter here tonight, and he brought up something that, yes, there will be drivers eliminated at the end of each stage. So each time we get done with each one of these stages, a couple of drivers will be eliminated to shorten the field and also add a little bit of desperation towards the end of these runs here as we get ready for another restart. And when we get started with this restart here, we got something special for you guys out there. So I hope you're ready to enjoy a little bit of excitement, sounds, and many more things to come. Ricky, as we close in at the end of stage number 1, who are some of the drivers who are impressing you right now early on?
Well, right now, we just on the last green flag run talked about TJ Majors. It wasn't until I looked through timing and scoring that I realized TJ started 34th on the grid of 38 cars today, has worked his way all the way up inside of the top 10, now in the 8th position. That 22 machine is going to be a driver that I am watching and keeping my eye on.
Indeed. TJ Majors, of course, driving the door bumper clear, number 22 Ford Mustang, of course, a great spotter and knows a thing or two about winning at Superspeedways with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Joey Logano throughout his career, as the pace car is leading him through the middle of the back straightaway, heading towards 3 and 4. A couple of other drivers who I've been keeping an eye on right now. The 51 of Garrett Smithley currently has now sitting in the 14th position after starting outside the top 25. So a great run for him early on in stage number 1.
Yeah, and we rode on board with him earlier, slicing and dicing his way through the field. So doing a great job. He just needs to keep that nose of that 51 machine clean for the rest of the day here today.
Well, as the pace car heads down pit road out of harm's way, Kyle Busch will now begin what we like to call crank it up here as we get ready for the restart. Well, after that crank it up, we now have a caution out on the racetrack once again between the 99 and 53 right now. The 99 of Rajah Caruth involved in another incident here tonight at the iRacing Superspeedway for the All-Star race. He gets collected, it looks like, in some incidents between him and it looks like also Paul Sutton right now as well as Justin Malillo, as Paul Sutton tries to go up the track. That causes a little bit of a scare possibly for Rajah Caruth, who then goes up the track making contact with several other drivers, taking them out. And they are closing in on probably a couple of situations where they could be out of faster pairs before we even get done with stage number 1.
Yeah, Taylor, and this is something that I brought up in the pre-race here. You can see it right there, is drivers just going so fast. You see somebody move and you almost get spooked and shoot up the racetrack. That's what happened to Rajah Caruth there. Ends up making contact with the driver to his outside, and a couple more cars end up at the back of the field with torn up race cars. And I think these drivers are starting to run out of some fast repairs here. Justin Malillo, as we'll take a look there, he just had nowhere to go in that 53 machine. Hard into the wall and gets hit a couple more times. So that car definitely looked better at the beginning of this race.
Certainly did, as we get on board with Paul Sutton right now, who also was on there, as we also see Justin Malillo getting a little bit of help from Stephen Wilson, the IndyCar driver in the Toyota Camry, who then makes the contact. Around he will go, contact with Ron Capps and several more drivers before he hits the outside wall. and now brings it down pit road in order to try and see if he has any fast repairs left on that number 53 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, Taylor, and some of these drivers maybe playing the game never have I ever, where you hold up 3 fingers. That's what they're doing with their fast repairs right now to keep track of how many they have left here in this race.
It certainly is, and we talked to Gary earlier on, our in-race reporter. He's trying to save that last fast repair before the end of tonight's race, as a couple of cars have now made their way down pit road in order to get some things done. Unfortunately for one driver, TJ Majors, he has pulled it behind the wall. His day is done.
And unfortunately, believe it might have been the curse right there. I was just talking about how great he was doing up at the front of the field, and unfortunately not quite sure what happened to TJ there. Was definitely not around the incident, I do not believe, Taylor. So maybe some other issues that brought that 22 machine down pit road.
Tough break indeed for that number 22 Ford Mustang as we continue on the way. We're on board right now with the number 6 TikTok machine of Ryan Vargas, who's been on a tear right now. He's been inside the top 5 for a majority of this race now, as he's sitting 5th behind Robbie Lyons and ahead of the Monday Night Racing champion Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, Robbie Lyons is a driver we haven't really talked about all race long, but he's been up there and just kind of sitting in the shadows almost. Hasn't really made a whole lot of pushes towards the front, or I guess the lead part of this field here, but doing a great job at staying out of the junk and staying up front.
As we are winding down the laps here, we are on lap 27 of 60 here tonight, and it's going to be a close one before we see who will win stage number 1, who will be eliminated at the end of stage number 1. But we also got a couple other exciting things to announce to see who will win. We'll mention that in between the break of stage 1 and stage 2, so stay tuned for more information on that, as the pace car will lead them down the front straightaway. And as you look at these cameras by Dougie Beard right now, the angle you see off corner exit and heading down the front straightaway is extraordinary. I mean, you see how these cars are able to stay planted to the track, especially when they're coming off corner exit, just to see the banking that they have to negotiate.
Yeah, Taylor, sometimes watching these drivers being side by side, carrying so much speed in the pack, I wouldn't necessarily staying stuck to the track. These drivers almost getting the wheels off of the ground as they come out of the corners and get to that flat part of the banking, driving pretty much uphill to get to the straightaways here.
While we are getting ready to go back green flag racing, we'll mention a couple of movers and shakers here tonight. A couple of drivers who have worked their way up to the field. Drew Welker in the number 64 started 37th. He has now moved up, or actually started in the 18th, has dropped all the way to 37, having a tough break right there. But Brendan Madonia started 37th, is now up to 15th position. So a great effort for that number 49 out on the track. Stephen Wilson, the IndyCar driver, started 35th, has now worked his way up inside the top 20 in 18th. And Jesse Vaughn started 23rd. He's inside the 11th position. And Robbie Lyons, who we just talked about earlier, 25th to 4th.
Yeah, a lot of drivers making big moves here early on in the race, and you can see the field right now giving a little bit of a gap to the pace car there, possibly giving more time, the 51 machine of Kyle Busch giving himself a little more time to kind of choose when he wants to go on the race start with this pace car diving onto pit road so late.
Certainly is the case, as the pace car is probably going to be the cleanest car at the end of tonight's race, as a little bit of shoving right now as Kyle Busch will fire off down the front straightaway. Green flag is out, and we are underway with 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Kyle Busch has about a car length advantage over Nick Sanchez as well as Max Cannon, as we see Robbie Lyons and Nick DeGroot dive to the bottom of the racetrack. DJ Cummings now working the outside of Ryan Vargas, who dropped back to 7th, as Kobe Moore now is trying to see if he can get in the mix. Ooh, big checkup in the middle of the field. There goes Ryan Vargas. Can he be able to hold on to his race car? Yes, he will, but he's going to lose a ton of positions possibly, as Kobe Moore all the way in the sucker zone falling back.
Yeah, and a bunch of drivers starting to work their way up to this pack. A lot of drivers that we haven't seen battling inside the top 5 all race long. Garrett Smithley among those few in the 8th position now. He has worked his way up to the back half of this field, and he is trying to get up to the front positions here. As you can see, that gray 51 machine, the last car on the top of this front pack here.
Here they go. They have just completed lap number 29. as we are now approaching 2 more laps. They are on lap 29. Here we go. This is going to be the money lap for some of these drivers to see if they're able to continue on. Here they go. Kyle Busch leading them down out of turn number 2. Down the back straightaway, Max Kennan has help from DJ Cummings, Robbie Lyons as well, and Nick DeGroot trying to see if they can get into the mix. Nick Sanchez tries to push the 51 of Kyle Busch in that Rowdy Energy Drink Toyota to no avail as Max Kennan will dive to the bottom of the right track, hits the apron, but continues on as he'll get help now from Kyle Busch out of turn number 4. Here they come down the front straightaway. This should be the end of stage number 1. And continuing on their way, Max Kennan, as we're on board with him, they come across the line. Max Kennan should win here on stage number 1.
And those drivers were pretty much gridlocked there towards the end of the race as soon as the 21 machine dove down to the bottom and got the apron. The guys on the top side had no run whatsoever. The bottom lane was checking up there, so side by side throughout pretty much the whole entire top 20 there, as the drivers tried to work their way towards the end of the stage. And the 21 machine ends up taking home the Stage 1 victory here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Quick rundown of your top 10 right here of how they finished. Max Kennan, Kyle Busch, DJ Cummings, Nick DeGroot, Nick Sanchez, Garrett Smithley, Joshua Slate, Robbie Lyons, Ryan Vargas, and Jesse Vaughn, your top 10. As they continue on their way here and get things lined up, catching up to the pace car, we have a couple of winners to announce for us here tonight as well. Of course, here at Monday Night Racing, we have another great partner to thank here on the service as well, and that, of course, is the Max Pappas and Mac MPI. As we get ready to announce a special winner of who will win the Max Pappas Innovations, and that, of course, is going to go to Josh Jarnigan. Josh Jarnigan is the winner of the $25 MPI discount gift card here, as he is our winner here tonight. So congratulations to Josh Jarnigan. And of course, Max Pappas Innovations and Monday Night Racing have partnered together to hold a contest on Twitter for a wheel for a new SimLab line. Over the past few days, race fans have been tweeting for their shot to win, and we're proud to announce that Josh Jarnigan is our winner. Max Pappas Innovations is the world's premier manufacturer of steering and was founded in 2009 by Max and Tatiana Pappas in Mooresville, North Carolina. MPI takes every aspect of construction and safety to heart to build their products in the most accurate and dedicated ways possible. MPI partners have claimed 13 NASCAR championships, 4 World of Outlaws championship, 2 IndyCar titles, 2 Australian Supercar titles, and 1 NHRA championship. Find out more at www.maxpappasinc.com. As the field has come down pit road to service their vehicles, get tires, fuels, and continue on their way, we will see who will win the race off pit road as we get things lined up, ready to go once again, as we are now getting ready to approach stage number 2. As we are now back here, stage 1 complete. Ricky, what is your thoughts of how stage 1 it is and what we could expect in stage number 2?
Yeah, I thought it was a great stage 1. I mean, a lot of calamity with these drivers really trying to race hard to put themselves in a spot to get them up front for the most part at the end of that stage, to get a good track position and a good place to enter down pit road to try and get that race off. So these drivers that worked their way up and didn't waste any of those fast repairs and have themselves in a good spot for stage 2, looking pretty good after the eliminations here. Stage 1, like you were talking about earlier, Taylor.
Could we see possibly some drivers take it a little bit easier towards the first half of stage number 2? It's a 20-lap run before we end of stage 2. And seeing how drivers may be able to react, seeing how many cautions we had in stage 1, should some drivers calm down just a little bit to see, hey, we still have a little bit, 30 laps still left to go in this entire race, 20 in this stage. Can I maybe save my car for those last 5 to 10 laps? Because we saw some drivers in one lap work their way up from the back of the field all the way up towards the front.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers are really going to have to give themselves that extra time and that extra space with the other drivers out on the speedway to stay away from that calamity and try and stay away from the other drivers, but you have to be aggressive getting to this point of the race, Taylor. I mean, these drivers have worked so hard through the first stage, 30 laps. That's longer than any other stage will run tonight. So these drivers really got a good taste of what the racing is going to be like for the rest of the race, but it's only going to get tougher and tougher as these drivers get into the smaller and shorter stages towards the end of the race to ultimately win $300 here tonight at Monday Night Racing.
It certainly is the case, and we have a lot still to talk about here. And of course, we are actually just crossed the midway point of tonight's race. So that means one thing, our midway race break. And as we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, it's time to bring you this midway race break brought to you by iRacing. iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsports, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in the Australian Supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and more. After pit stops have been completed, Devin Henry is your race leader. Rajah Caruth sits second, followed by Justin Melillo in third. Jesse Vaughn fourth, with Garrett Smithley fifth. Kyle Busch sixth, Max Kennan seventh. Eighth goes to Nick DeGroot. Ninth, DJ Cummings. Rounding out your top 10, Nick Sanchez.
Yeah, and rounding out the top 10 is Nick Sanchez, and Kyle McFadden is posted in the 11th position right now, but still on pit road with issues. Gabe Wood is going to be in the 11th position. In the 12th position, it's going to be Stephen Wilson. 13th is going to belong to Paul Sutton. 14th, going to be Robbie Lyons. 14th, going to be Covey Moore. 15th, going to be Gary Sexton, who is our in-race reporter. 15th, Ryan Vargas. 16th, Ford Martin. 17th is going to be Matt Stick. 17th is going to be Anthony Alfredo. 18th going to be Steve Authmet. And 19th going to be Dylan Welch. 20th going to be Chad Reed. I believe that's all we have time, Taylor, as we're getting ready to take the green flag.
It certainly is all that we have time for. And with that, this concludes tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. With over 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scans, tracks, and cars to choose from, iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. As the flagmen will wave the green flag, we are back underway for stage number 2 as they continue on the way. Devin Henry will lead them as they come down the front straightaway. Rajah Caruth might have jumped the gun as the restart is under review by our race control of Joshua Mendoza as they continue through turns 1 and 2. Here comes Devin Henry in the number 86.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers shuffled up after the pit stops there. We see a lot of new faces up at the front of the field. Rajah Caruth also under review for that restart, like you said, Taylor. But these drivers, you can already see the aggression pushing a lot harder after the restart here of stage 1, and they work their way down into turn 3. And cars sliding up the speedway. Kyle Busch almost involved in another accident there with the 86 as he came up off the bottom.
Here comes Jesse Vaughn with a head of steam right now. He's going to try to take away the race lead as he'll get around Rajah Caruth. He'll have help from Kyle Busch as Devin Henry to the bottom of the racetrack. 3 wide for second, now 3 wide for third as Nick DeGroot is coming up on the tough side with help from Stephen Wilson.
Yeah, and these drivers really in a hornet's nest right now, almost 4 wide, as you can see Garrett Smithley now on the bottom of Rajah Caruth. They're trying to work their way through the field here and right up front. As we talked about, Garrett Smithley all race long, cutting his way through the field, and he's finally made it up there, and now is battling with the guys for a race lead. Here is a wiggle from the 21, almost an accident there, working their way into turn 3.
That was the 21 of Max Kennan, who had a big issue, was able to save it perfectly and continue on his way as we are on board with the 86 of Devin Henry. He'll slot out to the outside lane, but can't quite get a good enough run as Jesse Vaughn in the 26 will go to the top lane of the racetrack, down the front straightaway as he will dive all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack to get in front of Kyle Busch for the race lead as they come out of turn number 2. And almost some slight contact between DeGroot and Henry as they are able to gather it back up.
Yeah, and those drivers getting very close as now Kyle Busch looks to the outside to try and take the race lead. He does, but now a push on the bottom from Smithley in the 26 car.
Contact!
We'll have to see, and there's a car around on the outside, and I believe that was just him, Taylor. How amazing, but unfortunately, I actually believe there's more cars in the back of the field that ended up in that.
I believe so. Devin Henry and Rajah Caruth going back at it. Caruth try to go to the bottom of the racetrack and collect him once again in another incident. I gotta say, that was just a little bit of blocking that probably shouldn't have happened right there. I mean, Henry thought he might have been cleared, but Caruth just slid down way too quickly for Henry to try and prevent that block.
Yeah, and Gary Sexton said it best earlier that these guys are just going so fast that when you get a run, it's very difficult to throw a block and really block these guys from trying to get that run. And as you can see, a fashioned run there by Rajah Caruth and a block gone wrong takes quite a few more cars out here. I would say fairly early in the going, but just over halfway here for the All-Star race here on Monday Night Racing.
Certainly is. As another car has taken it behind the wall, Seth Eggert is done for tonight's race. As they continue on the way, you see more angles of what has happened here in that previous caution, as you see a couple of drivers, the 11 of Steve Affont right there, as you continue as we watch from his angle of what happened to him. Up through the middle of turn 3 and 4, try to avoid it, as well as the 78 as well, who gets hard heavy contact from the 27 and the 12. That was Greg Stump, who's now come down pit road to get another fast repair completed.
Yeah, and these drivers starting to run very low on those fast repairs. So we'll take a look on the number 12 machine of Brown to see the wreck avoidance here. Just barely gets through. You can see maybe some damage on the right front. Ended up going away fairly quickly, so possibly just a little connection issue there, but no damage, it looks like, for the 12 machine. Able to get his way through that, and that's definitely scary up in front of you to see, Taylor, a bunch of cars at 200-plus miles an hour going sideways and backwards.
It certainly is. A lot is at stake here as we continue on our way. Field is under caution once again here, as we are going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to go side by side, but don't worry, we're coming right back. We just want to bring you all of the great green flag action here of Podium eSports coverage of Monday Night Racing's 2021 All-Star event powered by SimSeat from the iRacing Superspeedway. Stay tuned.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Tufco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Tufco way.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
Welcome back to the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race presented by SimSeat. Of course, we have a lot of great racing action here tonight, and of course, we have much more to come as we bring you coverage here from the iRacing Superspeedway. Taylor Burris, along with Ricky Spearinger in the booth, and our wonderful producer, Ryan Bauer. But as we take a look at what's to come here tonight, in fact, actually, later on tonight, we have the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Clash at Daytona tonight at 9 p.m. You can catch the action live at twitch.tv/iRacing. And then, of course, this weekend, we have a great show for you. The 2021 third annual Podium 500, the largest superspeedway special event in iRacing, returns February 7th, 2021. Over 300 drivers will compete on the high banks of Daytona to claim a spot amongst 43 that start Sunday's 500-mile, 200-lap, $1,000 to win feature event. All Podium 500 events will be broadcasted live on twitch.tv/Podium eSports. Register for $10 now at podiumesports.com/Podium-100. A lot of great racing action also still to come with Monday Night Racing still next week as we kick off the playoffs later on this season. And of course, still the Podium 500, Ricky, if we briefly talk about that before we get back green flag racing, is basically the Chili Bowl, but on the superspeedway.
Yeah, and these drivers, everybody that is in that event and everybody that is working towards that event is going to have to give it all they have. Podium puts on a great event there for the 500, the third year in a row that they're doing it. And, what a great job. I mean, it's such an amazing event. A lot of people from sim racing and even real racing come to that event, not just to try and win the $1,000, but to compete against the best in sim racing. 4th through the 7th of February, going to be the best time for sim racers to run Daytona International Speedway.
Certainly is the case, and we will see a couple of drivers who are racing here tonight in Monday Night Racing competing. Drivers such as Anthony Alfredo, As well, we'll be competing in the Podium 500 later on this week, in fact, as we get ready to go back green flag racing. Jesse Vaughn, Kyle Busch will lead them to the green. As the green flag is out, we are underway here once again at the iRacing Superspeedway. Jesse Vaughn continues on his way. He gets help from Garrett Smithley down the front straightaway. Kyle Busch by himself as he tries to get some help from the 21 of Max Cannon, who decides to duck down to the bottom of the racetrack. Nick Sanchez will help him out through turns 1 and 2, as here comes Anthony Alfredo, the NASCAR Cup Series rookie for 2021. He's going to try and slot into the 4th position as Garrett Smithley will slot out to the outside lane.
Yeah, and 251 cars pushing each other in what would be called the middle lane now, as Sanchez gets forced up to the 3rd lane. About 7 to 8 cars battling for the lead side by side right here as the 251 machines work their way the top side of the speedway. Anthony Alfredo onto the bottom. And those 3 cars down there now with Gary Sexton along in the mix, going to have a lot more horsepower to try and push past that top row.
It's certainly going to be a tough undertaking for Jesse Vaughn, as we see Garrett Smithley, Kyle Busch, Nick Sanchez working that outside lane as Nick DeGroot tries to follow but will dive back to the top side of the racetrack. Here comes Gary Sexton in the number 13. He's on a move right now. He's inside the top 10.
Yeah, and Sanchez going to force Kyle Busch now out to the outside, as we'll take a look at Gary Sexton, who's going to go to the inside. That 38 machine of Anthony Alfredo and gets a little loose on the entry to the corner there. That 13 machine, we talked to him earlier, our in-race reporter says he doesn't have a whole lot of fast repairs left. So we'll have to see exactly what he plans on doing here up the front of the field to stay safe.
He's going to try and see. Sometimes maybe being up towards the front is the safest place to be when it comes to Superspeedway racing, as he is in the middle of this pack of 7 or 8 cars under a blanket for the race lead right now as they come off of turn number 2. A little bit of contact between Jesse Vaughn and Max Cannon. Jesse will drop back just a little bit as here comes Gary Sexton. He's going to try to lead this race here as he works the outside around Nick Sanchez.
And right now, after he spoke earlier about those fast repairs, doesn't seem to be taking too many great lengths to protect him as he shoots to the race lead. Gary Sexton in the 13 machine going to lead his first laps here at the All-Star race here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
You're on board right now with the Abruzzi Toyota Camry as they continue down the front straightaway. Going to be 3 wide for the race lead. Sexton has help from Anthony Alfredo, while Nick Sanchez will have help from Garrett Smithley. Jesse Vaughn all by his lonesome up on the top side.
And that little grouping there, Taylor, is starting to kind of pull away from the rest of the field, starting to get a tiny gap in between them. But as you can see, Garrett Smithley all over the back bumper of Sanchez, and Gary Sexton almost fell back into the depths of the field. The 21 machine saved him by pushing him up to the front. He ends up leading a lap, but now running in the 3rd position on the outside of Anthony Alfredo.
For those of you wondering where Kyle Busch is right now, he is battling for 10th position. He's dropped back. Ooh, a little bit of contact in front of them, though, between the 21 of Max Cannon as well as the 38 of Anthony Alfredo, but no harm, no foul. We're still green flag racing here as they continue on the way. Kyle Busch, though, sits in 11th position as they come through turn number 1.
And Sanchez there going off into turn 1, tried to get a little side draft off of the 13 machine of Gary Sexton. Wonder how that worked out for him, as now you can see Kyle Busch, both your left and right here, trying to work his way back up towards the top 3 here, where he's been most of the race today, Taylor, besides the incident that he had earlier on with that number 6 machine, and ended up getting in a huge accident there, but has worked his way back up to the front well, and is relatively stuck there the whole race.
He certainly has a great performance by him here tonight as they continue on their way. Kyle Busch has worked his way back into the top 6 right now as we are 10 laps to go in stage number 2 here tonight. Working through turns 1 and 2, another driver who has made some incredible gains is the 37 of Paul Sutton. Started outside the top 30. He's now worked his way into the top 10 right now as you're on board with Nick Sanchez, who started 3rd, is running right now the race lead as he has some help right now.
Yeah, and you can see the 37 machine there in the middle of your screen trying to get his way through traffic, as we'll take a quick ride on board with him as they work their way through the corner on the right side of your screen. You can see how that banking just flattens out there. Said it so much, and I'll say it again, that is such an abrasive jump there. These cars get so unsettling. The 26 now moves to the outside. Sutton thinking better of it, and he is going to stay in that middle lane, try and catch spot by spot, possibly move his way up inside the top 5 here.
Ooh, close call for Paul Sutton and Jesse Vaughn. Nearly came together as we now will go on board now with Anthony Alfredo as they continue down the back straightaway. He's right up behind Garrett Smithley and Nick Sanchez. Your top three right now is Kyle Busch. He's going to go to the outside of the racetrack. He's going to try to lead this thing and see if he can work that outside creep. Jesse Vaughn, though, goes to the outside wall.
Yeah, and these drivers starting to get aggressive coming to the end here of the stage in just a few laps, and Kyle Busch trying to work that side draft on Anthony Alfredo, but the yellow flag flies again here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
I believe it might have something to do with that 26 of Jesse Vaughn, as he had some help from Paul Sutton, who goes up the racetrack. A couple of cars also making more contact. The 48 of Joshua Slade, who is trying to avoid the 26 of Jesse Vaughn, made some contact with a couple of other drivers. As we take a look at the replay, looks like between him as well as the 49 and 78 of Greg Stump and Brendan Madonia, who get together and continue on their way and cause another big pileup off of turn number 4. Steve Affont, Ryan Vargas involved as well.
Ryan Vargas has been involved in quite a few incidents here. Looks like, yep, just up into the wall, the 26 goes, still a little loose. And these drivers, there it is again, just getting spooked with a car spinning and getting sideways, started weaving in and out. And that caused the chain reaction. A couple of cars into the pit wall there, right at the end. A hard impact for those drivers.
Now the question is going to be who has enough to fast repairs to continue on their way, as you're on board with Devin Henry right there. All the conflict that happened to him as he did not avoid it, hard into the tire barriers right there on pit entrance. And that car is torn to pieces pretty much. I hate to say it, I don't think he had any fast repairs left looking at timing and scoring. But also to let you know of note, a couple of other drivers have pulled it behind the wall, possibly including Devin Henry here momentarily. Rajah Caruth and Ron Capps' day is over with, along with Garrett Miller and Jason Keffer. Their days has come to a close, but I think a couple of more are soon to join them here momentarily.
Yeah, and that 86 machine could possibly go for maybe a Monday night modified racing, as the way that car looked, the front and the rear end fenders missing on that machine. I believe you're correct, Taylor. No more fast repairs on that 86. But up towards the front of the field, a familiar face, and that 96 machine. As we take a look who we have up here today, Taylor Burris doing a great job at leading, I guess you would say me here, one of the newbies in the booth here, but a great job by everybody, including Ryan Bauer, with these great camera shots as Nick Sanchez, yet again, leading the field. We've seen him up there a lot today, Taylor, and you know, that 96 machine, an all-black slick look to it, but definitely has been intimidating the field by running up front for so much of the race.
And with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but don't worry, we're coming right back to bring you more green flag action here for the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race, presented by SimSeat.
For years, people had to get professional tools off of a truck.
That's me.
But we know that tool trucks only come around maybe once a week.
You want to go check out what's in the van?
Now Dave knows that his NAPA Auto Parts store delivers parts multiple times a day to his shop, and they carry the professional line of Carlyle tools. Carlyle offers quality tools with a lifetime warranty on his hand tools and a significant savings over mobile tool trucks. And you can forget about the weekly payments and expensive finance charges.
Just pay me, every week for the rest of your life.
Carlyle Tools, as close as your local NAPA Auto Parts store.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race here at the iRacing Superspeedway, presented by SimSeat. Of course, another great sponsor that we had to say thank you to is Tufco Flooring. Tufco Flooring is an industrial flooring company specialized in custom floors and drains. Tufco doesn't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every client. For more information, visit their website at tufcoflooring.com. course, the field is now lined up 2 by 2, so that means just one thing. We're about to go back green flag racing, and looking at the lap counter, we should have about 4 to 5 laps left to go in stage number 2 here, as we draw ever closer to see who will win the $300 purse for tonight's race here of the All-Star race of Monday Night Racing, of course, presented by SimSeats. Taylor Burris, Ricky Springer, and Ryan Bauer, of course, all of us here trying to bring you all the stories, all the angles, and of course, all of the wonderful pictures here. Of course, all the cameras here are provided by the great Dougie Beard. Ricky, as we get closer, 5 laps to go left in stage 2. Who are you watching?
Well, TJ Majors, one of my best picks, is out of the race right now, but that 96 machine has been up front all race long, and I expect him to stay there, but Garrett Smithley as well has really pushed his way up towards the front from deep in the field and has done a great job of it. So that front row right there looking to be very strong here working through the rest of the race.
It's going to be a great race here as we get ready to go back green flag racing. Pace car is off. Nick Sanchez, Garrett Smithley will lead them to the line. Green flag is out, and Nick Sanchez will go to the top side of the racetrack. That might be reviewed as he changed lanes before they took the green flag here. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what will happen as they continue on their way. But here comes Kyle Busch, Anthony Alfredo, and Gary Sexton has worked his way back into the top 4 as he will go to the top side of the racetrack. Might have to dive down quickly, though, before the 21 of Max Kennan fills the hole.
Yeah, and Gary Sexton, the lone wolf up there on the top side, went up to the top, expected somebody to follow, was just up there by himself. Anthony Alfredo following the same suit as he's going to have to drop back in line right in front of the number 13 of Gary Sexton.
Top 5 right now has gone single file, and just as I say that, Garrett Smithley will go to the top side of the racetrack thinking he could slingshot. Will not work this time as they come down the front straightaway. Kyle Busch to the outside of Nick Sanchez. He's going to have help from the 21 of Max Kennan down the front straightaway as he will lead lap 50 here down the front straightaway. He still has help from Kennan as they dive into turn 1. He'll go to the bottom of the racetrack leading this field.
And that 51 machine seen its fair share of clean track in front of him throughout the race. Kyle Busch been doing a great job at working the draft and trying to get his way to slingshot. Past most of the time has been that 96 machine of Sanchez, but now Anthony Alfredo shoots up to the top trying to form another lane, and we're going to see what happens. There is a 3 by 3 line now forming for the race lead here.
Max Kennan gets a little bit loose off of turn number 4. Nick Sanchez tries to throw the block on Anthony Alfredo as here comes IndyCar driver Stephen Wilson up through the field. He's going to try to get behind Anthony Alfredo. He's going to go 3 wide for a top 5 run as here comes also the 15 of Kobe Moore.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers starting to work their way up into this front field, possibly been hanging out at the back of the field trying to conserve those fast repairs, and now they're working their way up front as a car sideways.
Trouble for Dylan Welch, Max Kennan, and I could not catch that last driver there as we have another caution here once again as we're closing in on the final laps of stage number 2. And I think with this caution, this should be the end of stage by the time we come to a close.
Believe so, Taylor, and that's going to be really close. It's going to be a short run here to the end, only a 10-lap suit to begin with, and these drivers might even have a shorter run by the end of the stage here as they work their way into stage 3.
As they continue, you'll see the replay. There's Dylan Welch and Max Kennan. Welch goes up the track a little bit, makes contact with Max Kennan, and then we'll also get the 48 of Joshua Slade, who will make contact with the inside barriers, along with Dylan Welch. So a tough break for those drivers here tonight.
Yeah, a lot of guys really been pushing hard all race long. You could see, yep, just the contact right there with the 14 machine as soon as the car unsettles coming out of the corner. Collects a couple of other cars, and the 48 machine joining that modified Monday nights as well. So he'll lose the front end on that machine. More than likely will spoil the end of his race here, as we have cars getting eliminated every stage, Taylor.
We certainly do. We just talked about a couple of drivers who were eliminated. Ron Capps was one of them, along with Rajah Karuth as well. Seth Eggert as another driver included in that mix. And then, of course, Drew Welker, Garrett Miller, Jason Keffer, and TJ Majors. Those drivers out of the race here tonight. As this one should be the end of stage number 2 here momentarily. And a few more drivers will be eliminated here and we will then have a 10-lap dash to the finish. Of course, for those of you thinking, oh, 10 laps is not a long time, when it comes to a 3-mile oval, yes, you're talking quite a long time. A lot of things can happen. Even though these drivers are going over 240 miles an hour, hitting times around 43 to 42-second laps, 10 laps, a lot of room to make moves and a lot of moves to make mistakes there, Ricky.
Yeah, and these drivers have showed their strengths at some points, but also some of their weaknesses. We've seen the squirreliness from drivers going off into the corner. The racing is just going to get tighter, and I wonder if we're going to start to see more contact going in and out of the corners. Rather than center corner, we haven't seen a whole lot of contact necessarily entering the corner as much as we have down the straightaways in the bump draft, as well as in the center of the corner with drivers hitting the apron. So when these drivers start to get closer and those cars start to shift around, maybe a little bit more contact will ensue between these top 10 or so.
That certainly is the case as we look at currently your top 10 as we're about to come to an end of stage number 2. Nick Sanchez, Kyle Busch is your top 2 right now, followed by Garrett Smithley and Anthony Alfredo in 3rd and 4th. Gary Sexton is in 5th, followed by Stephen Wilson in 6th. Covey Moore sits in 7th. Nick DeGroot, 8th position. 9th is Ford Martin, and rounding out your top 10 is Stephen Ellis. Pace car will continue to lead them here through the race as a few more drivers have been eliminated. Dylan Welch and Joshua Slate have been eliminated from this stage, including Devin Henry as well. So a tough break for some of those drivers here as they will end their night here and continue on their way. Their quest for $300 and the chance to be the Monday Night Racing 2021 All-Star Champion comes to a close.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers up here towards the front haven't necessarily had to worry about the elimination, maybe for the exception of a couple of drivers such as Kyle Busch and Ryan Vargas, who is in the 13th spot right now, that ended up getting into some incidents there, both of them involved in the same one. Ryan Vargas, of course, a couple more bumps and scratches along the way to get his way inside the top 20. But these drivers really haven't been in deep stuff there for getting eliminated.
Certainly is the case right now as we see the number 6 TikTok machine of Ryan Vargas, of course, getting ready to kick off his 2021 NASCAR Xfinity endeavors as he will be competing for rookie honors in 2021. A couple of other drivers that we can point out who've worked their way up through the field here tonight. Drivers such as Michael Massey's and Kyle McFadden, they're up inside the top 20, starting in the 33rd and 29th position, so a good run for them so far, including Brandon Brown. No, not the Xfinity Series driver. He's part of the Richmond Raceway eSports organization. He sits in 17th after starting 27th. And Justin Malillo, a fan who, those of you who are fans of all things when it comes to eSports reporting, Justin, of course, sitting in 18th after starting dead last in 38th, Ricky.
Yeah, and you know, that 53 machine, we saw it go hard into the wall earlier, and you could see just a little bit of damage on the rear end. Possibly no more quick repairs, or if he does have one, he's not quite wanting to use it yet and wanting to save it until possibly later on in the race when he could use it just a little bit more. If that car starts to billow out some smoke from engine damage, might need one more fast repair. Might be keeping it in the bag from the rest of the field.
Of course, another driver who has made significant progress is Stephen Wilson. Started in the 35th position. Currently the number 25 driver sits in 6th. Of course, Stephen's used to going over 230 miles an hour in an Indy car, but in these big, heavy stock cars, I'm pretty sure that's a different story.
Yeah, a completely different animal. I'm sure those Indy cars can turn on a dime, and these stock cars weighing significantly more. I also think it's a little different having fenders over the front end, that bumping doors might not end up in tragedy, although at 230 plus miles an hour for most of these drivers it has. But a story here, Garrett Smithley has elected to stay out on the racetrack, and he will inherit the race lead unless he decides to come down this time. That's big news for that number 51 machine with 13 to go.
Certainly is. And you know, another thing I noticed, if you notice on the side of his car, he has a couple of dates on it, 1/27/2021. Well, we're already past that, so I wonder what big announcement that he was supposed to release on this car back on the 27th. So if he ends up winning this race tonight, we're going to have to ask him a little bit and see what the situation is. But he, of course, is getting ready for his Cup and Xfinity Series debuts in 2021 to get things started for him. But we are now closing in on 10 laps to go here and ending in stage number 3.
And Kyle Busch towards the back of the field now, not quite sure what happened, whether an issue during pit stops or possibly just wanted to make the rest of the race a little bit more interesting, but he is at the back tail end of this field here, and it's going to be the front row of Garrett Smithley and Anthony Alfredo. Going to take us to the start-finish line for the green flag with 13 laps to go here.
So right now is going to be Garrett Smithley, Anthony Alfredo, who will lead them back to the green flag here as we get ready to go underway here for the final stage. Pace car will make the hard left turn down pit road. Is going to be Smithley, Alfredo leading them to the green. Green flag is out. We are underway for the final stage here of the Monday Night Racing 2021 All-Star Race. Garrett Smithley will now take over the race lead ahead of Anthony Alfredo as they work their way down the front straightaway. Brian Vargas as well is in the mix. He's going to try to get to second place to the inside of Anthony Alfredo. Gets a big run, but gets a block from Garrett Smithley, trying to hold him up just a little bit as here comes the 46 of Stephen Ellis.
And these drivers really battling hard up at the front of the field. Nobody wants to tuck out of line as Anthony Alfredo just following straight back all the way to the back of that line there as nobody jumped to the outside. Everybody wanting to stay single file right now as Ryan Vargas and Garrett Smithley lead this pack of cars out of the final turn.
As they work their way down the front straightaway, Anthony Alfredo is getting a big push from the 27 of Michael Massey's down there, as well as help from Kyle McFadden in the S3 down the front straightaway, but it's going to be a little bit more tough for them right now. They have to make up some ground as Smithley, Vargas, Ellis, and Stolnick lead them into turn 1.
Yeah, and Ellis is really just riding behind Vargas right now. Vargas giving huge pushes to the 51 machine of Smithley. As you can see, these huge pushes down the back, straightaway completely tucked up under the back. Now the 46 machine going to be under fire as Ellis now on the bottom side, about to lose the third spot.
Here they go through turns 3 and 4. Stolnick is going to have a little bit of trouble now as he is going to be on that top side all by himself. Vargas will slide out to the top side of the racetrack. He wants to lead this race down the front straightaway as they come across the line. It's going to go to the 52 of Garrett Smithley that time by as they work their way down the front straightaway. He's got a little bit of help from Ellis as well as Massey as Alfredo gets behind Vargas.
And that 27 machine shot right to the bottom. Vargas going to get down, and look at that. There's the spook again. We just saw it. Anthony Alfredo got spooked by the 27, moves up to the top of the speedway, and now he is getting freight trained by the rest of the field. Even Kyle Busch is going by, who started at the back of the field. He's worked his way inside the top 10.
We've seen Kyle Busch, a little bit of contact towards the back between, it looks like several drivers. They're trying to get themselves reorganized, but are so going on their way, but still no caution yet, and we are still green after that crazy save.
These drivers trying as hard as they can to keep the vehicle straight as we're going to see what happened there up on the left side of the screen. 3 wide as these drivers work their way down off into the corner. That 41 machine on the outside of Kyle Busch. You can see that pack right there working really hard to try and keep these cars straight here in the closing laps.
How about Max Kennan with a big save down the front straightaway, or back straightaway? He is able to maintain control of his car after a close call. Continues on his way, but is still going to lose a lot of time right now as they go through turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys riding right now, Taylor, you can see a third lane hasn't opened up. Maybe am I speaking too soon? I don't know. Only time will tell, but these drivers fairly tame right now as contact. Kyle Busch is involved. The 38 of Anthony Alfredo is involved.
Caution flag is out and mayhem ensues once again at the iRacing Superspeedway, involving several major stars here tonight, Kyle Busch being one of them. As the caution comes out once again, we'll get a replay of that situation that has happened. And I gotta say, I think somebody's motor might have blown to cause this incident.
Take a look. We can get the replay pulled up here, but definitely an accident that a lot of those drivers did not want to see. Kyle Busch just worked his way back up after getting passed by most of the field on pit road. Got his way back up inside of the top 5. ends up in another accident. That 51 machine, as you can see, rolling almost to a stop here on the bottom of the track, as we'll take a look at the replay of what exactly happened here, Taylor.
I'd like to go on board with that 46 of Stephen Ellis and listen to his car. I believe his engine expired, as you'll see him dip down to the bottom of the racetrack. There's that puff of smoke. The 27 of Michael Massey as well tried to follow him, but notice that he was not going up to speed, so goes up in front of the field, collecting several drivers as we see Kyle Busch and several more get involved.
Yeah, and I believe you're right, Taylor. You could see the puff of smoke. So we'll ride on board with Ellis right now, right up under the back of Smithley. It looks like he's trying to get some air down at the bottom of the track, and there it is right there. You could just see that 51 machine pull, and that's what the rest of the field ended up having to avoid. Ellis gets out of it pretty clean besides the expired motor, but nothing a fast repair can't fix if he has any. A lot of these drivers I know are running low.
Well, we just have some interesting situations that happen. Nick Sanchez, he has pulled it behind the wall. His day is done. Unfortunate for the 96, who had such a dominant run all race long. He will come home in 28th position, as a couple of more drivers have gone a lap down. Drivers such as Kyle Busch, Michael Massey, as the rest of the field will work their way down pit road in order to get things serviced for their vehicles, as well as see if they have any fast repairs left for them.
Yeah, these drivers going to have to see that. I said earlier that these drivers are counting on their fingers how many fast repairs they have left. And Nick Sanchez, not quite sure what happened, but pulled off to the bottom of the speedway and then just stopped. Ended up towing back to the pit road. So not quite sure if maybe an expired engine was the cause of that. Couldn't possibly make it around, so he decided to pull it off the speedway. But we still do have somebody in this race who we spoke to quite a lot today. Our in-race reporter, Gary Sexton, made it through that accident, and he's still running and sitting pretty in that 13 machine.
He certainly is. As we pull him up into the booth, Gary, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
How was that incident for you right there as you're getting your lap back here, getting a wave around? I mean, going through that incident just before.
Yeah, it was definitely a knuckle... white knuckler. Sorry, they're waving me around the field, but yeah, anyway, sorry, there's some confusion here on the radio.
No problem.
But yeah, the wreck was crazy. I knew it was coming. I was just trying to put myself in a position where I could weave through it. The track is they're talking to me on race control. 10-4. Sorry, I'm on a TV interview right now, guys. You're interrupting me. Anyway, yeah, so we put ourselves in a position there to get through the wreck, and we got through it. There's 6 to go. We're going to win this race.
6 to go indeed. A lot to happen for you here tonight as we see what happens for you. Good luck to you, Gary, in these final few laps.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That is Gary Sexton in the number 13 Abruzzi Racewear USA Toyota Camry, our in-race reporter here tonight. And he's got his work cut out for him quite a bit. He's going to be starting in 6th position. He's got a lot of time to be able to work his way up through the field to see if he can take that win and that $300.
Yeah, Taylor, I love the enthusiasm from that 13 machine. Gary Sexton definitely has the enthusiasm to go out there and win this race right now, but looking really good. He did get waved around, so he will be back on the lead lap here and says he's going to go out and win it. So we'll have to see exactly what that 13 machine can do, working his way up through the field. But a lot of cars been taken out here late in the going, and a couple of drivers that probably were some of the fans' favorites out of the race already, but one driver still going. Is that number 22 with Chad Reed.
Chad Reed having a phenomenal run right now. Started 26, is now sitting in the 5th position right now. Of course, 2004 and 2008 AMA Supercross champion, and of course trying his hand out in 4 wheels right now. He's been a part of the Monday Night Racing for quite some time, so a great performance for him here. And looking at it, probably one of his best finishes in all of Monday Night Racing.
Yeah, but he's been doing a great job at avoiding the accidents here, I guess, when you're on 2 wheels and jumping and everything like that, it makes it a little easier to possibly avoid an accident. But nevertheless, doing a great job in that 22 machine has put himself in a great spot here with 5 to go. We take the green flag.
Certainly is, as some of the cars are trying to get waved around as quickly as possible before we go back green flag racing. This is going to be close for some of them, as we just saw Michael Massey's and Kyle Busch getting waved around to get back onto the lead lap possibly. And that's just going to provide excitement. For those of you who remember Monday Night Racing at Talladega, the closing laps, Kyle Busch started 24th in 2 laps, got up to the race lead and won the season opener of Monday Night Racing Season 2. Can he do it again? This time, though, with about 5 laps to go, as we are about to go back green flag racing. The pace car has pulled off pit road. We are about to go back green racing here with 4 laps to go here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
And these drivers really just going to try and fall in line here, do their best. And Kyle Busch way up to the top side. He's already inside of the top 10. Not quite sure what happened on the restart there, but a great run by the 51 machine, but still the front 2 up at the front of the field. Garrett Smithley and Ryan Vargas, those 2 have been battling since the drop of the green flag of stage 3. These drivers going to try and do everything they can to keep the rest of the field behind them, but a huge hornet's nest behind them as the rest of the field works their way into turn 3.
Here they go through turns 3 and 4. A couple of drivers trying to get themselves organized to make a run for the race lead of Garrett Smithley and Ryan Vargas. Here comes Stephen Wilson and Kyle McFadden and Gary Sexton on the bottom of the racetrack. The 19 of Robbie Lyons struggling all by himself as Kyle Busch will go to the top side of the racetrack. It's showing in timing and scoring. He is still 1 lap down, so he's going to need a caution if he wants a shot at winning tonight's race. Through turns 1 and 2, 3 laps to go.
And we're getting to that point, Taylor, where a caution coming out at this point is very unlikely until we get to white flag, but not until the checkered flag waves will we know that, as the S3 machine of McFadden now up to the 2nd spot. Vargas gets pushed to the outside. Gary Sexton now pushing the 6th car.
Here comes Stephen Wilson to the bottom of the racetrack as Sexton as well as Vargas try to get lined up. The 50 of Gabe Wood is now in the mix right now. He's behind Stephen Wilson, the IndyCar ace.
And as they work their way down the front straightaway, hit the start-finish line, 2 laps to go here at the iRacing Superspeedway as the field is lined up inside and outside. Everybody trying to work together to push their line up to the front of the field.
2 by 2, 10 cars deep, and we're still racing here. As we see a couple of cars get checked up just a little bit, we're still green flag racing. Ryan Vargas, your new race leader.
And Ryan Vargas just a nose ahead of Garrett Smithley. Garrett Sexton, of course, behind him. And then Garrett Smithley being pushed by McFadden in the S3 car as he's going to check up a little bit. These cars get sideways in another accident in turn 3 and 4.
Big caution, and that's going to mean one thing. A green-white checkered is going to be in play for these drivers here as we get ready to see what has happened on the track, as a big caution once again has happened here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, and you know what that means for the 51 machine? That means a wave around. He will get back on the lead lap. We might see another restart in another race, reminiscent of what Kyle Busch did at Talladega, trying to work his way back up to the front of the field. But we'll ride on board with Robbie Lyons and the 19 machine, see exactly what occurred here to bring out this caution right behind Gary Sexton on the top side. See as they work their way down the back straightaway. I believe it happens in turn 3, Taylor.
It does, between contact between the 19 of Robbie Lyons as well as the 50 of Gabe Wood. Gabe Wood, I think, just tried to get through a hole that wasn't quite big enough for him to fit between him. And it looks like Kobe Moore as well involved in that incident. I think Kobe was trying to go between Gabe Wood and Robbie Lyons, but it was not quite big enough for him to fit through. And there's the contact you will see between those 3 drivers, and around Robbie Lyons will go, collecting several other drivers, including Jesse Vaughn. As the rest of the field goes through, I'd like to see how Kyle Busch got through, because it looks like he should be good to go. He does actually get through that unscathed. No damage to his race car, as it looks like the field will go right above him when the incident happened.
Yeah, and a good job trying to avoid the accident. We'll take a ride along with him. This is the back straightaway leading up to where the accident occurs going into turn 3, and you can see the field in front of him 2 to 3 wide. A huge run by that back half of the field, and you're going to see a car go sideways. I'm about there. And he just scoots to the inside, almost gets into Anthony Alfredo. Another car bouncing up off the apron, but gets through unscathed, and that'll mean a lap back for that 51 machine.
which will then put him back on the lead lap here, as we currently have 27 cars on the lead lap right now. Jesse Vaughn, the last car on the lead lap, as several more drivers have once again pulled it behind the wall. We talked about them: Nick Sanchez, Joshua Slate, Devin Henry, who were the recent drivers who had called it a night here after being either eliminated or done with damage or other situations. Ricky, we still have now 2 other green-white checkered attempts in case of something happens in this attempt. What can we expect? Can we see a little bit more caution before we see that white flag, or are we going to see drivers being super aggressive when we take the green?
These drivers are going to be absolutely as aggressive as possible, trying to get their way up to the front of the field. These drivers are going to push everything they have left in their cars, whether a fast repair or not. So these drivers are going to give everything that they have left, what they've been saving the whole race, to try and get a chance at that $300 for the All-Star race here tonight.
Certainly is going to be the case here. And of course, we just talked about it. Kyle Busch getting back onto the lead lap and now has to start toward the back half of the field. He has 2 laps to go if we stay green in order to get back up to the race lead. That's going to be exciting to watch. But who other drivers are we going to be watching here tonight in these final green-white checkered attempts?
You know, a lot of drivers have really spoken to me throughout the race, and a couple, just to mention a few. McFadden has done a wonderful job of at least trying to stay out of the incidents. He has been involved in a few. Might not have a lot of fast repairs left, but during your green-white checkered, you really don't get a lot of chances anyways to drive down pit road and get one. So that S3 car definitely going to be looking for him to be up front for the end of the race. But Kyle Busch in the 51 machine has been fast all race long, and he might make another run at a Superspeedway to possibly try and steal the win away from these drivers here tonight.
Certainly can be the case, but now the lights are out on the pace car. That means we are about to go for restart attempt number 1 of a green-white checkered. We have 2 more just in case. Of course, unlike in the world of NASCAR, we do not have unlimited attempts. So we have 3 strikes and we are done here tonight. So right now, your top 5 is Garrett Smithley, Ryan Vargas, Kyle McFadden, Gary Sexton, and Stephen Wilson. Those will be your top 5 runners here tonight, and see who will survive the All-Star race here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Absolutely, as these drivers getting double filed up, just working their way down the back straightaway, Taylor. And, you know, we talked all race long about how big this track is, but this is a great view, just going pace car speed much faster than any other track at normal. 80 miles an hour, what they would run on such as Daytona or Talladega for a pace car speed, but you could see just how long it takes to get down this back straightaway. A 3-mile track is no joke, and these drivers have definitely put every inch of this 3-mile course here to the test tonight.
They certainly have, and we're going to see who's going to survive this 3-mile course once again here, as we will see who can come out on top. Could it be Gary Smithley or Ryan Vargas? Could it be Kyle Busch, or could somebody else pull a surprise victory here tonight? We have also the Monday Night Racing Season 1 champion, Nick DeGroot, still in the mix. He's sitting in 14th right now. He's always had a strong run here, no matter what car you put him in here for the Monday Night Racing Championship. But now, the pace car has pulled up. We are about to go back green flag racing for a green-white checkered attempt number 1. Green flag is out. We are underway. Garrett Smithley, Ryan Vargas up towards the front of the field as we see Kyle McFadden and Gary Sexton try to get lined up on the bottom half of the racetrack. Here they go, down into turn number 1. Vargas try to go to the inside, but Smithley throws the block as they come through turn 2.
And they've kind of checked out from the field by about 2 car lengths now, trying to push their way just to get enough of a gap to where they could race side by side, but not going to happen, as McFadden and Gary Sexton now going to try and push their way up to the back bumper of the 6 car, and we're coming around to get the white flag this time, Taylor.
Here they come up through turns 3 and 4 for those of you who are fans of Kyle Busch. Ooh, big slide for Stephen Fun. Hard contact. Caution is out, and we are going to have to line him up and do it all over again. I think it's safe to say, for those of you who are fans of Kyle Busch, I think he might have caught the tail end of that incident.
Yeah, and I believe that would almost result in the end of the night for that 51 machine. It's been caught up in its fair share of accidents throughout the entirety of this race. And we'll see if he could possibly keep moving with that machine, and possibly how bad the damage is.
It looks like a couple of drivers have decided to pull it behind the wall. Jesse Vaughn and Justin Malillo. Our day is done. Steve Affont, though, almost saved it, though, as we get a look at the replay of Steve Affont. I mean, it was so close, but just could not hold on a little bit longer after slight contact that happened with him, between him and Matt Stallnet.
Yeah, and that contact looked like it started to ensue there down the back straightaway quite a little ways, and then just off into turn 3. But Kyle Busch looks to have gotten through that okay, unless he got some later contact after the 11 car of Affont. But we'll take a ride on board with that 11 machine, and you can see the contact goes around. He almost has it saved, and then a car right there, and wow, absolutely destroying the wall. You can see on the gyro cam there just how hard of an impact that was.
Tough break for him, and for those of you who are wondering about Kyle Busch, he made it through, but when trying to avoid the 53 of Justin Malillo, he goes up the racetrack just a little bit, scrapes the wall off turn 4, has a little bit of damage to the right side of his race, number 51 Rowdy Energy Drink Camry, but still might be enough to continue on as he's come down pit road to try to get that repaired.
Yeah, like I said, I don't believe he has another fast repair, so probably going to have to spend quite a bit of time in the box. But Taylor, we were talking about those extra attempts at a green-white checkered, and I think we might get close to using all of them now on our second attempt here for the All-Star race.
Certainly is the case here. Attempt number 2 of a green-white checker. The pace car lights have not gone off yet, so we should see that happening here in the next lap or so. And I think Ryan Vargas has just pitted. He didn't have enough fuel possibly in his car to make it to the end. So that might be a concern for some of these other drivers. Do they not have enough fuel packed into those race machines in order to continue on their way?
Yeah, you know, we haven't had to deal with a whole lot of strategy. We've had quite a few cautions, and these drivers with the stage brakes have gotten quite lucky to be able to come down and get some fuel and possibly new tires if needed. But Stephen Wilson, the 25 machine, currently in the 4th position, started 35th, Taylor. So deep in the field, and he has worked his way up the me machine, of course, with that Tiger on the front. And then we have the 13 car, Gary Sexton, started in the 8th position, now running 3rd. Don't believe he's out of fast repairs yet. Possibly one more, but a little bit of damage on the hood nevertheless. As you can see, the left front just crinkled ever so slightly.
Well, I'm pretty sure for a Bruzy race where if Gary is able to pull a win out of this, he pretty much will probably be quite all right with that little bit of nose damage if he's able to pull that in. Leslie is actually going down a little bit down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Could he be trying to save some fuel?
I think a lot of these drivers are trying to save fuel now, and some of them may not have even looked at how much fuel they had until that number 6 machine of Ryan Vargas had dove down pit road and said he was getting low on fuel. So some of these drivers might not have been a concern just until a lap or 2 ago. As these drivers get double filed up, and we're going to see the green flag for attempt number 2 at a green-white checkered next time by, Taylor.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have been able to watch the entire race, we want to say thank you for watching this race, of course, and we hope to provide you a great finish here tonight. For those of you who just joined us, you are watching the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race presented by SimSeed, live from the iRacing Superspeedway, a 3-mile monster of a track that these drivers have been trying to negotiate here tonight, and it's provided a lot of entertainment, a lot of great storylines, and of course everything we have to offer here tonight as we get ready to go back green flag racing.
And these drivers have definitely been put to the test, like you said, Taylor. And you know, Anthony Alfredo has actually kind of fallen outside of the top 10 here. That 38 machine not doing too well. Not sure if he's possibly waiting on his chance or has some damage. I saw some rear end damage on that machine a little earlier on in the race. As you could see, a new rookie to the NASCAR Cup Series rather, and he's showing his feet out here in the sim seats Ford, and we're going to see what he can do on this restart here.
Certainly is, as we're about to go to green flag racing here for hopefully the final attempt of a green-white checker. We'll see as we are about to go back green flag racing here. Pace car is about to make that hard left turn down pit road. Waiting for the green flag to come out here as we see the flagman's about to wave the green flag. Green flag is out. Garrett Smithley, Kyle McFadden will lead them to the green flag as they come down the front straightaway here. 2 laps to go here as they go down the front straightaway. Here comes Kyle McFadden trying to see if he can get in front of Gary Sexton in order to get a good run off of turn number 2. Matt Stallneck along with Gabe Wood and Ford Martin on the top side. Stephen Wilson and DJ Cummings on the bottom of the racetrack as the caution is out once again.
Yeah, now we're getting close here to our last attempt at a green-white checkered, and these drivers are going to need to be careful if they don't want this race to end under caution. As you can see, some more calamity towards the back of the field, and I believe that might be the 22 machine back there, Taylor.
Couple of drivers involved in that one. Brandon Brown, Kobe Moore, Paul Sutton. Brian Vargas, Chad Reed, as Vargas and Chad Reed gets together, collecting Brandon Brown and Paul Sutton into this incident. As we see the incident right there, as Kyle Busch nearly squeaking by, going 5 wide in order to not get involved in this incident.
Yeah, and we're going to take a great look at the restart here. We're riding on board 15 of more. We're going to see exactly what happened to cause this most recent incident for the caution here. A car down there on the bottom. Believe that may be Ryan Vargas down there on the bottom getting into Chad Reed. He ends up going into the outside wall. Moore had nowhere to go, ends up ripping the front, and yes, that was that number 6 machine.
Look at Kyle Busch right there going 5 wide, nearly avoiding the incident and almost costing him a chance to possibly win the All-Star race here tonight. But unfortunately for Vargas and Chad Reed and several other drivers, their chance for this win is out the window for them.
Yeah, and these cautions are not what people like Garrett Smithley and the drivers up at the front of the field want to see. Kyle Busch keeps squeaking through these accidents with little to relatively no damage. So he's just getting closer and closer to the front of the field and very close there with the rear end of Chad Reed.
You know, in all forms of motorsports, we usually see 3, maybe 4 wide if we're at a Superspeedway. Well, Ricky, how about we go 5 wide? We just saw there.
Yeah, and this track could definitely support that 5 wide racing and possibly more if needed. Such a huge racetrack and a lot of real estate to play around with, and these drivers have definitely used every inch of it and probably a little bit below that yellow line throughout the entirety of this race.
Certainly is the case right now as we are waiting for the field to catch up to the pace car. Of course, myself, Taylor Burris, Ricky Springer, bringing you all the coverage here, and of course our wonderful producer, Mr. Ryan Bauer, is there tweaking the buttons, twisting the dials with cameras powered by Dougie Beard, who had made some excellent camera angles to provide all the great views for all of our viewers here tonight to watch as we are on board with our current race leader, Garrett Smithley, who is trying to catch up to the pace car so we can hopefully go back green flag racing next time, if not in 2 laps time.
Yeah, and I believe that these race directors here are starting to have a talk with the drivers, telling them to not stop on the apron of the track to bring out another caution, and you know, the normal stuff that they don't want people doing to possibly mess up this last attempt that we have at a green-white checker.
With that, as we continue on their way here and continue to see what will happen, keep an eye on some of the drivers who have come down pit road right now. Chad Reed, of course, who was just involved in that incident. Steve Affont as well. Kobe Moore had just been released from pit road along with Brandon Brown, who's decided to stay on the track along with Nick DeGroot. As we will talk to our in-race reporter as we will check in on him, Mr. Gary Sexton in that number 13, Abruzzi Raceware USA Toyota Camry. Gary, we come close to getting things rolling, but then just right before we start to see all the action, the caution comes out. How is that affecting the mentality of you when it comes to trying to stay focused all the way to the end?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm actually down about 20 RPMs in that one big caution we had. I got clipped in the door, and, you know, of course, that for some reason hurt your RPM. So I'm down 20 RPMs, but the car seems to have decent speed. At least getting up to speed. So I know that they just said that they're not going to throw the caution at all. So we're coming back to the flag regardless. So hopefully that doesn't hurt me too much. But we're gonna try to just stay tucked in behind somebody and then make a move late. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do in order to keep my car up front.
All right, well, Gary, we'll let you get focused, get ready to go, and we will talk to you hopefully after the race, possibly in victory lane.
Yes, sir.
That is Gary Sexton, our in-race reporter in that number 13 Abruzzi Racewear USA Toyota Camry. He's going to be starting on the inside row of row number 2 behind Garrett Smithley and Kyle McFadden, your top 2. Stephen Wilson in 4th. Gabe Wood, your top 5 right now as we look through the rest of the top 10. DJ Cummings, Matt Stolnick, Ford Martin, Brendan Madonia, and the Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo will round out your top 10. A couple of other drivers to keep an eye on is going to be Mark Rebillis in that number 69 in 11th and Stephen Ellis in 12th. They're on a great run here tonight as we see Anthony Alfredo in that number 38 Sim Seat Ford Mustang. Started on pole, had an up and down night, but he is on his way up through the field as the pace car will lead them down the front straightaway off down pit road as we will see the checkered flag here momentarily as we are about to go back green flag racing. Green flag is out, and we are underway for the final attempt of a green-white checker. We are going to see who will win the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race here as they go down the front straightaway. DJ Cummings trying to get to the inside of the racetrack as we see Sexton is struggling with some power right now, has no help in front of them as Kyle McFadden and Gary Smithley will go to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, and Gary Sexton, we just spoke with him, and he's definitely having that trouble. You can see it right now, but McFadden now shooting to the outside of Garrett Smithley, and he's going to look at the race lead down the back straightaway.
He has no help right now for him as here comes Matt Stolnick in the 41. He's going to try to go to the top side. Here comes DJ Cummings and Anthony Alfredo as they enter turn number 3. Drivers giving it everything that they have as they come off of turn 4. Garrett Smithley still your race leader.
Yeah, and as they work their way out of turn 4, a little contact there. Gary Sexton gets doored by McFadden, and you could just briefly see the 51 machine at the back of this field trying to work his way up. But now Anthony Alfredo with a huge push to the middle of the raceway.
He will push Kyle McFadden up to the race lead. 1 lap to go as they work through turns 1 and 2. McFadden holds on right now. A little bit of contact towards the back of the field, but we're focused on the front. Here comes McFadden. Here comes as well Garrett Smithley as here we see Anthony Alfredo up to the front of the lead. He's getting a big push from Ford Martin in the 07.
And side by side briefly for a second, but Ford Martin now in the second position as wrecking behind them as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. Multiple cars involved. They're still bumping doors there for the 3rd spot. It's going to come down almost to a drag race.
Drag race to the start finish line. Alfredo coming to the line as he will win the 2021 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race. Kyle McFadden second. Ford Martin rounds out your top 3. What a race to the finish here as Gary Sexton, our in-race reporter, will come across the line on his roof. Several of the drivers are going through there. What a finish as we watch the replay. Ford Martin tried everything to slingshot past Anthony Alfredo, but unfortunately it was too little too late for him as you see the incident ensuing behind. Kyle Busch getting collected up in that incident as you'll see him go down towards pit road. As we watch the drag race, there's Ford Martin sneaking outside of the top lane to continue on his way, but can't quite make it work. Kyle McFadden as well with a head of steam. He'll dive to the bottom right there against the yellow line with help from Garrett Smithley. And as they drag race to the start finish line, Anthony Alfredo will have won about half a car length over Ford Martin and Kyle McFadden as they come across the start finish line right there. Close racing action once again.
And what a great finish from these drivers. Not completely clean till the end there after the last restart and our last green-white checkered, but definitely those drivers gave it all they had left in those machines.
Well, with that, it's time to take you through the field and give you the full field rundown of how they finished here tonight. Anthony Alfredo, the Fast Pasta in the Sim Seats Ford Mustang, will take home victory once again. A great way to kick off his run for a championship run. Kyle McFadden will come home second, followed by Ford Martin in third. Garrett Smithley will come home in fourth, followed by Matt Stolnick in fifth. Ryan Vargas in sixth, followed by our in-race reporter Gary Sexton in seventh. 8th goes to Stephen Wilson, 9th Gabriel Wood, 10th our Monday Night Racing Season 1 champion Nick DeGroot.
In the 11th position is going to be Brett Bollock. And the 12th position is going to be Stephen Ellis. 13th is going to belong to Michael Massey. 14th is going to be Brandon Brown. 15th going to be Paul Sutton. 16th going to be Brendan. 17th going to be Covey Morse. 18th, going to be DJ Cummings. 19th, going to be Robbie Lyons, who was doing great there towards the end. Fell back just towards the end of that race there. And then rounding out the top 20, it's going to be Max Keenan.
Mark Rabillas will come home in 21st, followed by Kyle Busch in 22nd. Steve Affont will come home in 23rd. Chad Reed, 24th. Greg Stump will come home in 25th, followed by Justin Malillo, 26th. 27th goes to Jesse Vaughn with Nick Sanchez in 28th. 29th goes to Raja Caruth. 30th, Seth Eggert. And as we round out the rest of the field there, Ricky, 31st goes to Dylan Welch. 32nd, Seth Eggert. 33rd, Raja Caruth. 34th, Ron Capps. Drew Welker, 35th, Garrett Miller, 36th, Jason Keffer, 37th, and TJ Majors, 38th. And with that, as we get ready to bring up our winner, Anthony Alfredo. Anthony, for the longest time, you had a tough time trying to get home wins here in the Monday Night Racing Season 2 Championship, but now you picked up a win last week at Homestead, and now you won the All-Star race. So talk about a way to boost everything to get ready for a championship run.
It's incredible. I mean, you can't ask for a better time of season to start stringing good runs together and you know, completing races successfully. Ultimate goal is to win each week, and to be able to be putting them together at this point in time is ideal, obviously, and allows us to build some momentum. And my spotter, Briar LaPrade, had to hop into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race to spot for our Lockdown Racing teammate Taylor Hurst. So I was doing all that at the end on my own, and I'm just glad Ford stuck with me there for a little bit. I tried to tow him by the first car on the bottom so that we can both gradually move down, and he did a textbook job with that as well, so that we could race it out off of 4. And there was one point I was kind of slowly moving up, and he went for the move on the outside, and I about right reared myself, so I just held my line, and then Kyle came out of nowhere, what felt like 40 miles an hour faster, but we were able to still barely get them at the line. Fans couldn't ask for a more incredible finish. Such an amazing venue here at iRacing Superspeedway. It puts on some great shows. Even though it is fictional, it makes it fun for everyone, including the drivers. And special shout out to SimSeats for sponsoring the All-Star race, and as well as last week. I also, in addition to this time of year, winning these races, it's really cool to be winning in the SimSeats Ford Mustang from my SimSeats driving simulator in the races that they're sponsoring. So can't get much better than that. Shout out to them, and I'm just really glad to be a part of this series. It's been really fun since the beginning to see it grow, and I hope you guys enjoyed calling that finish, because I'm sure it was as cool from the outside as it was from the inside.
Of course, it was very exciting all the way to the end. And, you know, Anthony, before we let you go and celebrate this victory, how would you compare this track? I mean, this track is like no other we've seen in any real world racing.
That's a great question. The best way I could describe it is pretty much, you know, it's a straight oval like Homestead, but it's the length of your typical super speedway like Talladega. However, the corners remind me of Dover. Obviously much wider, but the reason I say that is because that transition in elevation, you drop really far. It feels like, you know, here at Dover it's 30 stories, so here it's probably close to 50, and when you drop that far into the banking, it feels awesome, and then when you come out of the corner, it throws you out of it. So it doesn't compare to any track in particular. It's kind of a mix of them, so to speak, but it definitely puts on a great show.
It certainly does. Well, congratulations once again to the Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo himself, for winning tonight's Monday Night Racing All-Star Race, presented, of course, by SimSeat. Go ahead and celebrate your victory there, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Ricky Springer now has caught up with our second place driver, Mr. Kyle McFadden. He is with Ricky.
Yeah, Kyle McFadden bringing it home in the second spot here. That S3 machine, a good-looking car, but started 33rd, Kyle. Explain to us working your way up to the second spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was tooth and nail just trying to make it to stage 2. I thought I wasn't even gonna make it to stage 2. Barely made it through stage 1. Barely made it through stage 2, used all my fast repairs going into the final stage. I thought, like, you know, let's see what happens here. Not a whole lot was really going my way. Got hit on pit road, got involved in a caution under caution, and it was just, first 2 stages were absolute mess. And then things started to come together. Lots of those guys pitted after second stage, and that kind of opened things up for me. I think I was restarted up in the top 10 there. And then one thing just kind of led to the next, and then all of a sudden I'm restarting third with 2 laps to go, and then restarting second, coming down to the final green-white checkered. So everything kind of went against me the first 2 stages, and then everything nearly went for me that last stage there. That was fun though.
Yeah, and a great job just trying to work your way through everything. Explain to us what it's like with that many cars. Of course, a lot of real estate to play with, but Anthony Alfredo said it best. The corners are almost like Dover, how you just drop off into them. We saw a lot of cars skating all over the place. Just kind of take us through what the average lap with 30-plus cars out there just trying to work your way through the field.
Yeah, for sure. You just had to maintain through the corners and down the straights. You almost kind of had to treat it like an Indy car. You really had to make kind of most of your moves down the straightaway, time your runs, this and that, and then just maintain through the corners. But I had that big run there toward the end because you would just get a huge tow if you lagged back just a little bit to the corners. You could maybe time a run down the straightaway. But yeah, for sure, I'm with Anthony on that. Definitely feels like Dover going down and to the corners, just the loads and just how the car drops off. And car will definitely get out from underneath you if you're not careful with it. So yeah, no, great race tonight, a lot of fun. Hats off to Ford and Paul and all the guys at Monday Night Racing. Great win for Anthony. I think that's 2 in a row for him now. He drove a great race and that was fun.
Yep, and a great job to you as well. And, you know, is there anybody you want to thank just for kind of getting you into that second spot tonight with everything that happened?
Not really, but the car I'm running there, the S3, Lee Stoltz, he was a legendary car owner back in the 70s and 80s in the dirt late model scene in Virginia. So that's a tribute to him and Buddy Armel. And car's got a lot of history if you do some research on it. And it's a great looking ride too. So glad to give it some limelight.
Yep, and inside the top 3, what better way to do it? But thank you for talking with us, Kyle, and we really appreciate the heck of a show you put out there on the track tonight.
Thank you so much, guys.
And that was Kyle McFadden, the second place finisher here tonight at the All-Star race at the iRacing Superspeedway, and Taylor Burris is now going to be down with Ford Martin, our third place finisher.
Here with Ford Martin, of course, one of the founders of Monday Night Racing. Ford, I mean, a great race for you here tonight. You're having a good run up and down all throughout the field tonight, but finally come out with a podium finish. How do you feel about this one?
Old Jack Daniels Chevrolet was, old girl was running pretty well tonight. We got knocked on the back a little bit. I think Stone that kind of hit us a bit there and kind of knocked out the draft. And I was just talking to Anthony a second ago where kind of just want to keep pushing them. It was textbook, and I thought my best chance is just, I mean, I've run enough of these races where best chance is to, I got to keep pushing them, and we cleared the front 2 guys and try to settle it out between us. But man, that was a lot of fun. A lot of good racing tonight, and love well, it's not restricted plate racing. There's no restricted plates in these cars, but speedway racing, super speedway racing is a lot of fun.
You know, with this track here, we talked with Anthony about how difficult this track is. What is your thoughts about it being, you know, not a professional driver competing on this type of a circuit?
Oh man, it's a blast. Like, it's just, you know, when you're running out here with and just talking about the competition too as well. Like, I'm running out here with Anthony Alfredo, a Cup Series driver, and man, he's a friend of mine. We work together there, and work with him is a lot of fun. Working the track, racing this track, it's a blast. Like, the runs that you get with these cars is phenomenal. Like, you don't expect it. And this part where it's just, you gotta execute it well, and sometimes you have to lift going in the corners on these runs. But man, like, this track's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this one.
Of course. Well, before we let you go forward, who would you like to say thank you to?
First of all, I just want to give a shout out to Sim Seats for sponsoring this event. I want to thank them, BST Shocks, PJ Bryant, Tufco, and Nikki and Case and all those guys. They do Mike Case. Thank you for sponsoring our series. Just gotta make sure I give everybody Big Green Egg, MPI, Matt's Pappas. All our sponsors do a great job to make this league what it is. I'm happy to get a top 3, but I'm more happy that this event goes well and everybody's happy and that we enjoy it. And these are racers coming out here to race. So I appreciate everybody for coming out tonight. iRacing for obviously bringing a software that we can bring people together. And that's exactly what we did. We had a good run tonight, and the playoffs start next week, so can't mess up anymore now.
It's going to be very exciting to the very end of this race, so we look forward to seeing how things go for you the rest of the season forward.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your help tonight and working the race, and let's go get them in Richmond next week.
All right, we will see you at Richmond next week. And finally, up here in the booth is our in-race reporter, Gary Sexton here. Gary, I mean, you were so close to taking home a victory here at the iRacing Superspeedway in the All-Star race, but end up coming home on your lid. I don't think that's kind of how you wanted to finish tonight.
No, not how I wanted to finish. Definitely how I expected to finish. I knew it was going to get crazy towards the end. And yeah, it was pretty much what I had predicted would happen. I was fine coming up through the gears on that first lap. There was enough power in the car on the bottom end. But once we got to the top end, I just couldn't keep up. And I feel bad. I was kind of holding Stephen Wilson up quite a bit because he was trying to push me and he didn't really have anywhere to go. And I just kept kind of holding him up. Just that 5 or 6 miles per hour I wasn't able to have really kind of did it for me. I think if we had the power, you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, we probably could have been up there. But it was a crazy fun race, and just to be a part of it is an honor, and I look forward to the playoffs starting. There's some really good tracks. There's some really good guys that aren't in the playoffs. I mean, there's still some really good ones that are, but I think that looking at the schedule, there's some really, really good races for me coming up, and I look forward to getting that going. Now that we've had this fun this week, we should it should be a good rest of the season.
Certainly should be. Well, before we let you go, Gary, get ready for the playoffs here. Who would you like to say thank you to?
Yeah, of course. Definitely Abruzzi Racewear USA and Judd Danielson for hooking me up with some sponsorship for the rest of the year. I look forward to carrying him in my car throughout the playoffs, and just everyone at Podium eSports. You know, it's no surprise that probably by this point that I help run the show here with Ryan and James and Cisco and John, and all the help that we get from everyone like you, Taylor and Ricky, and all everyone else. It's been a crazy year. It's hard to believe that only 2 years ago is when Podium officially started and where we've grown, and I really look forward to seeing where it goes from there. This has just been an honor to be a part of and help it grow. So yeah, I just thank everybody involved, Ford for allowing me to race in the league and for picking us to be his broadcast partner this season and for the future. So we look forward to having a good relationship with those guys, and yeah, that's about it.
All right, that is Gary Sexton. Once again, congratulations on finishing tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Richmond here for the playoffs. But it's all right. We still have some great racing action still to come throughout the rest of this week. Of course, here going on right now, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Clash at Daytona. You can find all the action live at twitch.tv/iRacing. And then, of course, the big show is this weekend, the 3rd annual Podium 500, February 4th through the 7th. Of course, the Podium 500 is the largest Superspeedway special event in iRacing. Returns February 7th, 2021, all the way starting on February 4th. Over 300 drivers will compete on the high banks of Daytona to claim a spot amongst the 43 that start Sunday's 500-mile, 200-lap, $1,000 to win feature event. All Podium 500 events will be broadcasted live on twitch.tv/Podium Esports. Registered for $10 now at podiumesports.com/Podium-100. And of course, we will be back here Monday night for the Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring, race of the playoffs, round number 1 at Richmond. That will start off February 8th at 8 p.m. You can catch the action live at twitch.tv/Podium2. And then on February 10th, Wednesday, the 2021 Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series live from Cedar Lake. It's time to go dirt racing, and we're going to do it on twitch.tv/Podium2. And then on Sunday, February 14th, the MPI Cup Series will kick off their round number 6 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Catch the action February 14th at 9:15 on twitch.tv/Podium Esports. And Ricky, with all the great racing we saw tonight and all the great racing still to come, we just are now 1 week away before we kick off the playoffs, and 13 hungry drivers are looking for a championship in probably the biggest iRacing series, Monday Night Racing, presented by Tufco Flooring, and these guys are definitely going to be hungry when we go to Richmond.
Absolutely, and these guys showed the aggression here tonight, really pushing for every single spot they could possibly have, and at the end of the race that was very evident that these drivers really want what they're going for here in this Monday Night Racing. And it's definitely a blast for these guys to get out and have fun during the regular season, but it's getting to that point where it's crunch time for these drivers coming towards the end of the season.
It certainly is, and these drivers still have a wide variety of different cars to race in. We have Xfinity, trucks, ARCA cars, and sports cars still to come in the playoff. But for that, it is time that we come to a close. For Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, for Cisco Scarmuzza, Gary Sexton, John Theodore, James Pike at Podium eSports, our producer Ryan Bauer, for my colleague in the booth, Ricky Springer, I am Taylor Burris. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Monday Night Racing All-Star Race of 2021 presented by SimSeat. Have a good night.